apply. I'll be showing you where and how to apply to visa-sponsored jobs. Okay? So if you know somebody that should be here, you have a friend, you have a colleague, you have a family member that you know should be here in this session today, invite them. Okay? Because we'll have an amazing time. I'd love our session to be as interactive as possible. So we'll take questions before we wrap up. So if you give me the next 1.5 to 2 hours of your time, I'll walk you through the end-to-end process. For those of you struggling to land a sponsored job, where should you focus on? How can you learn the skills? How can you build experience? Where should you apply to, and how should you apply? And I'll show you some of the major reasons why people are not thriving within the space and why we have so many Africans, people of the Black community in the health and tech career path instead, in the health and care career path instead of the tech ecosystem. All right. And I'd also love to know where you are joining from. So type into the chat if you're joining from Manchester, you're joining from Glasgow, you're joining from somewhere in Toronto. Type into the chat, where are you joining from? Okay, Newcastle. Joining from the Caribbean, Karen, fantastic. Joe from Nigeria, Cynthia from the UK, Nottingham, Birmingham, London, absolutely phenomenal. All right, so let's get started with our session today. So what is today's session all about, and what would we be discussing? Like I said, if you know anybody that should be here, share this invite with them, share the link with them, get them on board, and let's have an amazing time together. We're here today to learn about the data roles that would help you land a sponsored job. So we are not looking at all different career paths within the tech ecosystem. The focus would be on the data roles, data-related roles in the UK that would easily get you that sponsored job, and how you can thrive within the space. How do you get started? What do you do? And how can Tenalytics also play a role in ensuring that you succeed and thrive? And I'll share a whole lot of success stories of people that have done the same, that are thriving within the space at the moment. All right. Now, who is Tenalytics? And let's get to know a little bit about us. Tenalytics is an educational technology company, and the focus for us is on helping Africans in Africa and Africans in the diaspora to get into the tech ecosystem, especially focused on the areas of data analytics, data science, data engineering, HR analytics, cybersecurity, agile project management, and so on and so forth. Over the last 4 years, we've been able to help over 2,500 Africans and people of the Black community to land their very first jobs in the tech ecosystem, moving from the classroom to getting the jobs within the ecosystem. And I'll share with you how you can also do the same. And for me, I'm a technology expert with a decade experience in data analytics and management consulting. I started my career in management consulting, no tech background, no computer science degree. My first degree was in industrial chemistry. But over the years, I saw that the tech ecosystem is where the opportunities would lie. And I wanted to take a bite out of it as well. And I transitioned into the data analytics role. 10 years later, I'm the founder of Tenalytics and I'm Dari. And through these platforms, we've been able to help over 2,500 people land their very first jobs without any previous tech background or knowledge. I've worked as a data science consultant in the UK and in the US. I've worked as a data analyst with one of the largest privately owned energy conglomerates in sub-Saharan Africa. And I've also worked as a data analytics consultant with FITC, owned by the Bankers Committee and the CBN in Nigeria. My experience cuts across 5 different sectors: sports, financial services, energy, automobile, and educational technology. I currently reside in Alberta, Canada, and I'll share a little bit of that when I moved from the UK to Canada and the reason why we have done that as a business as well. And then you have Efemena, the co-founder of Tenalytics, also a data professional with extensive experience within the data ecosystem. Efemena has worked with the post office as a business data support lead. He's currently a data science contractor in Canada, worked in the US and in the UK as well. Worked as a data analytics manager with Tizer in the UK, DPD in Ireland, extensive experience. And together, we've been able to help over 2,500 people that look like me, that look like us, people of the Black community, to get into thriving career path. Our session today would center around 4 key areas. The first thing I'll show you is the in-demand data roles you need to take note of. You want to get a job, you're doing your master's, you're a dependent, you want to get a job, you want to be able to get into a career path that is progressive. These are the areas you'd love to look at, okay? I'll share that with you. And then we'll also talk about where and how to secure visa-sponsored jobs. I'll share some strategies as time permits me that you can start applying, take those strategies, apply the strategies, and start to get opportunities within the space. Then I'll introduce you to the upcoming programs that we have in December this year, and then the one that would also start in January 2025. And I have a special, discount, a special gift for people that stay to the end of today's session. And finally, we'll take questions and answers and would call it a day. So this is what our session today would center around extensively. Now, one of the major challenges that we face, and I'll start with this because when I left Nigeria and I moved to the UK, one of the first things I realized was we had so many people within the health and care space. Everybody talked about health and care. Oh, for you to get sponsorship, you need to work as a carer. You need to get into domiciliary care. You need to do this. You need to do that. But very few people talked about transitioning into the tech ecosystem and getting opportunities for sponsorship in those areas. So very quickly, I got to realize that we don't have enough Africans and people of the Black community in tech, right? And a question I always like to ask is this: if technology would shape the future, who shapes technology? All right. So I'd like our session to be as engaging as possible. So type into the chat, if technology shapes the future, who would shape technology? Type into the chat what you think. I'd like to know your thoughts. Who shapes technology? Technology shapes the future. Job Hunt says people would shape technology. Absolutely. Daniel says the same. The people. I love that attender, Hillary. Hillary says you and I. Absolutely. You and I would shape the technology. Now, the fewer people we have in technology, especially for people within the Black ecosystem, the Black community, it becomes more difficult for you to get into career paths that are progressive. Technology is what is going to shape the future. We are seeing that today, and that's what would come in the next few years. So how do you get into the train? The best time to have started was 10 years ago, probably the same time I started. However, the next best time to get up on that train is today. And one of the researches I did, one of the reports I came across, according to the Migration Observatory by the University of Oxford, states that for every 100 health and care staff hired, 30 are Africans. So 30% of every health and care staff hired are Africans. Whereas out of every 100 technology-related roles or technology-related employees hired, only 6 are Africans. So we don't apply. We don't apply to technology-related roles. We don't go for those type of opportunities and so on. And I kept the report here by the Migration Observatory from the University of Oxford, and it clearly shows when you look at health and care, Sub-Saharan Africa ranks the highest in terms of people within that space. But when you look at technology, we rank just 6%, one of the lowest when it comes to technology-related roles in the UK. And you'd get to see the Indians. The Indians represent 17%. All right. So the question is, why are we not applying to roles like this? And one of the major reasons is because people don't have the skills, number one. Number two, they don't know where to apply and how to apply. And finally, they only believe that getting sponsorship lies within health and care. And I'm going to, demystify all of that. We're going to bust all those myths today, and we'll get to have a conversation around that. The demand within the tech ecosystem is absolutely massive, especially in the UK. But where are the opportunities? That's where people always ask questions. What roles do I need to apply to? And people listen to everything everybody has to say. And that's where you also make the mistake. It's important that you listen to people who are within the space, who have done the things you're also trying to do. So if somebody says, oh, there's demand in the tech ecosystem, where are the opportunities? How can I apply to jobs within the space? Where do I find these jobs? And why must it be this particular role I go for? All right. And the easiest way to do this and find this out is by doing your research. Where are the opportunities in the UK? And that's where we always like to focus on. We focus on areas that are in demand and where you can get opportunities easily and fast. So according to the UK government, Department of Science and Innovation, every single year, year on year, you have over 178 to 234,000 roles that are left unfilled. So these jobs are there, but people don't apply to them to fill these jobs. Over 178 to 234,000 roles every single year, year on year. The university system in the UK generates just about 30,000 data-related graduates every year. So even if you take all the data graduates from all the universities across the UK, it amounts to only 30,000. But you have over 178,000 jobs available to apply to within the data space. Now, how do you start to shape yourself to get into these areas? Looking at the areas, the top 10 roles available within the data space. Number one is the data analyst role. That's the very first one. You'd see the data analyst role, you'd see the data scientist role, the data engineering role, and so on and so forth. So you get to ask yourself the question, how do I get into the data analyst role, a data engineering role? If these roles are available and the jobs are available, and close to 50% of companies within the UK are recruiting for these roles, why am I not applying? That's a very big question. Why am I not applying? All right. Now, you get to also find out that in April this year, the Home Office made so many changes to immigration and immigrants across the UK. And one of the major changes they made was around the shortage occupation list. We used to have a shortage occupation list that showed the career path that were high in demand. And these were the roles where you could easily get, if you have a job offer from any of these roles, you'd easily use that to apply, get a COS, and apply for sponsorship. So they changed that to the immigration salary list. So you also want to find out from the UK government, which of these job codes would give me access to jobs within the UK, that where I can get sponsorship related to the data roles. There are so many roles you get, you have an offer, but they are not valid for the skilled worker visa. Okay, so which data roles are valid? What are the job codes? So I can look out for those type of jobs and I can get those type of jobs. So what I've done is to also leave some links on my slides for you to get access later on and get to interact with some of these materials. So if you click on this link, for example, it takes you to the gov.uk website where you have access to the eligible occupations and the respective codes for the skilled worker visa. And where I want to go very quickly is to the code 21332134. All right. I've also kept all the codes for you I've kept it on my slide so you can easily go. You have that at the tip of your fingers, and you can easily check the career path that are accessible to you as a professional. I'm going to maximize this so you can see this, better. Not having the right information puts you at the very bottom of where you have opportunities. All right. Having the right information gives you that understanding of what you need to do, how to do it, and when to do it. So if you look at the code 2132, for example, it says IT managers. You have the data center managers. You have the data visualization managers. As a data visualization manager, you are a data analyst. You are a business intelligence analyst. Okay? You'd see the IT business analyst, 2133. These are the business analysts that work within the IT business analyst are your typical business analyst where you have opportunities to apply to visa sponsored jobs. All right. You have the business systems analyst, the change analyst, data communications analyst. These are all roles that are data related, and you securing opportunities or a job offer gives you the chance for you to apply, get a COS from the company, apply to the Home Office for a skilled worker visa, and this is how you start to get sponsored opportunities. But what are the strategies to follow, and what are the other career paths you can take? I'll show you everything. You have the programmers, software development professionals. You'd see the description, analyst, programmer. These are your data scientists, database developer. These are your data engineers, the people that build the database where the data is stored. All right. So you get to see that. You have the data security manager. This is cybersecurity related, and so on and so forth. But like I said, I've kept a link for you to access that particular site. And I've also kept the job codes where you can easily search for the career path, go to that particular job code, and see the jobs. The data analyst, for example, we saw that 2134, 2132, 3544. Okay. So 2132, these are the IT managers. A data visualization manager is a data analyst. A data visualization manager is a data analyst. If we go to 3544, let's scroll all the way down to 3544. Okay. And everybody has access. I'll drop the link in the chat as well, but it's also going to be on my slide. And for you to get access to my slide, you want to ensure that you fill the attendance form. So we can send you detail. You can send the recording of today's session, send you the slides and all the other materials from today's session. So make sure you fill the attendance form. Okay, so let's go to 3544 very quickly, and you'd see the data analyst. So if you get a job as a data analyst, a data officer, data quality analyst, information management analyst, and so on, you will have access to get a visa sponsored job. A data scientist can also do the job of a data analyst. And we're going to break that down as we move on. Okay. You want to also get to see the financial analyst, for example, or the HR analyst. If you go to 3571, if you're a HR analyst, this is where you'd find your job code. All right. Employment consultant, human resources advisor, human resources analyst, the HR analyst. All right. Financial analyst, you want to apply to get a job as a financial analyst that comes with sponsorship. That's on the code 2422. Okay. So if you go to the code 2422, for example, I'm just going to scroll up very quickly, and it takes you to where you have all these jobs. 2422, you'd see the finance and investment analyst and advisors, and you'd see all the other different type of roles you can apply to as well. So you get to realize very quickly that I can't just apply to any type of job. I want to apply to jobs where I have the possibility of getting sponsorship from this type of roles. And that's where I want to build my skill. Very important. You don't want to build your skill in any area. You start to struggle to get jobs. I've met with people, they've done product management, they've done software testing, and so many other things, DevOps, and they're struggling to land jobs. And the reason why you struggle is a couple of so many things, which I'll break down during our session. But one of them is you want to focus on where there is a demand for those particular type of roles. Okay, you'd see the business analyst as well. Another role, 2431, management consultant and the business analyst. So I'm going to drop the link in the chat. But like I said, this is also on my slide. At the end of today's session, you will get the slides, all the materials, the recording, but ensure that you fill the attendance form. Somebody's saying they can barely hear me. I don't know if that's if that's from my end. If you can hear me and I'm audible, just type in a 1 into the chat so I know that I am audible. Just type in a 1. Okay, fantastic. So that's not from my end. Okay, so now let's move on. So when you look at the skills you need to learn, it starts to get very clear and it starts to become apparent that these are the areas I need to focus on. Now, once you've identified that, you have an area in mind. One thing we also do every single year for the last 4 years, we scrape data from the major job boards across the major economies, the UK, the US, and Canada. We look at LinkedIn, Indeed, CV Library, UK Visa Jobs, Glassdoor, and we scrape data to see where you have a high demand. So which roles are employers hiring for? And then we juxtapose this against 3 major criteria. All right. You can't get into every type of role within the tech ecosystem. You can't become a blockchain engineer, for example, even though it's a fantastic career path. It's going to take you time. You'd spend the next 1 year to 18 months trying to get into blockchain engineering. Even if you want to become a full stack software engineer, front end and back end, it takes you roughly between 12 to 18 months. So when we saw the career path that were high in demand, we knew that not everybody can get into these areas simply because of the requirements, the prerequisites, and the length of learning the skills. So we had to use 3 major criteria to filter for the jobs that are easy to learn. And when I say easy to learn, the career path where you can spend the next 4 to 5 months learning the skills and you can start to transition into that role. We had to also ensure that the career path were easy to transition into. So you are doing customer service, you are working in the warehouse, you are working as a carer, you've worked as a banker, you've done procurement in the past. It doesn't matter. You can transition into these roles. I did industrial chemistry as my first degree. My very first job was as a management consultant, but I was able to transition into data analytics. And the reason is simple. It is a heavily skilled based ecosystem. And once it's skill based, you can learn the skills, you can build projects to build your experience, and you can start to apply those skills to get a job. And we also ensure that even though the career paths are easy to learn, easy to transition, the salaries are also fantastic. And we came up with 8 different career paths. The business analyst career path. So if you're in business analysis, just like we saw as part of the job code, you're in a career path that is in very high demand. And I'm going to show you some success stories of people who joined sessions like this. They joined into the business analysis program. And today they work with the NHS as business architects, as business analysts, as data scientists, and so on and so forth. All right. You also see the agile project manager, the data analyst, the data scientist, the data engineer, the cybersecurity analyst, the financial analyst, and the HR analyst. But we're not looking at all the different 8 career paths today. We'd look at the career paths that are data related. They have some form of data related to their roles. You have to work with data, analyze data, help organizations extract insights from data. because you'd find out that there are massive opportunities within these areas in the UK. So the 6 areas that are data related I would focus on today: the data analyst role, the data scientist role, the data engineering role, the business analyst, the financial analyst, and then the HR analyst. And I'm going to break down each role and what they do, what it takes to get into data science. A lot of people assume wrongly that to become a data scientist, I have to start by learning Python. If you ever learn data science starting with Python, you'd face major problemems. And that's what leads to people dropping off along the line because they've started learning the wrong way. So I'll show you what it takes to become a data scientist. How should you start? What should you learn? And so on and so forth. So looking at these 6 career paths: the data analyst, the data scientist, the data engineer, the business analyst, the financial analyst, and the HR analyst. Which of these areas are you interested in? The only way you know what we are talking about, Techno is saying, I don't have a clue. Sit back, relax, and listen. So I'm walking you through a journey. How do you select the areas to get into? You want to ensure that the areas are in high demand. That's number 1. Number 2, how do you get into those areas once you've identified them? And that's what I'm going to show you how to do. Where do you apply to jobs? How do you apply? What strategies should you deploy? I'll share that with you as well. So by the end of today's session, Techno, you'd find your bearing, to use your own words. So type into the chat, which of these 6 areas are you interested in? The data analytics career path, the data science, data engineer, the business analyst, the financial analyst, the HR analyst. I'd like to know your thoughts. Type into the chat. Nkechi says business analyst. Absolutely phenomenal. Emeka, BA, Alvan, data analytics. Olubukola, data analytics as well. HR analyst. Brilliant. Mercy is torn between the data analyst and the business analyst. By the end of today's session, you'd have figured out where you want to be. Okay, Joanna, HR analyst. BC is saying data analytics or science. Absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Now, we're going to do a little bit of practical going into different strategies, how to apply to get visa sponsored jobs. So the market is very competitive today, and you can't do the things the same way everybody else is doing it. To apply to jobs and get sponsorship, you have to be more calculated. You have to have strategies you follow to ensure that you are applying to the right type of jobs. If plan A doesn't work, there's a plan B and there's a plan C. Okay? So where do you apply to visa sponsored jobs, and how do you apply as well? I'll share a few strategies with you. Some of the strategies we have used at Tenalytics for our participants, and they become so successful in securing visa sponsored jobs. All right. I'll share 3 strategies that you need to take note of. And the very first strategy is apply to jobs from paid job boards. Okay. There's a lot of free stuff out there, free job boards out there. But when it comes to sponsorship, you want to look for the paid job boards, the job boards where you have to subscribe and then you get jobs sent to you every single day or every single week, as the case might be. If you're applying on LinkedIn, applying on gov.uk, applying on Indeed, Glassdoor, CV Library, read.co.uk, you're not likely going to get these jobs. Okay? So you want to look for the paid job boards. So what we do at Tenalytics is we know that not everybody can pay for these subscriptions. Some of you are students, you are managing to get by, you have a lot of bills to take care of and so on. All right. So what we do is we pay for these job boards, we subscribe to the job boards, and we take the jobs and we send to our students every single week. So you don't have to pay. We make the payments, we subscribe to the job boards, and we share them with you. However, if you are out of the Tenalytics community and you want to apply to get a sponsored job, you can't do the same things everybody else is doing. You can't apply to the same set of jobs everybody else is applying to. You want to be unconventional in securing these jobs. So I'll share a couple with you. Visa Jobs HQ, it is a paid platform, but they have fantastic job, job opportunities in there. So they scrape different sponsored jobs and they put it into one single location for you to access. Same with UK Visa Jobs. It's also a paid platform. But what we've done is we pay to these two platforms. Tenalytics subscribes. We get the jobs, we vet the jobs, and then we send the jobs to you every single week for you to apply and have opportunities. And once you start to get opportunities, we prepare you for your interviews. Okay. So we're going to go into one or two, depending on the time we have. You also have the NHS. The NHS is not paid. NHS is free. But I just put this here because when it comes to the number of opportunities our participants have gotten, over 70% comes from the NHS. A whole lot of opportunities come from the NHS. All right. The NHS would hire in volume. They would hire the data analyst. They would hire the data scientist. And I would share some stories with you today. And three of them, I deliberately lined up the three of them. They all got jobs from the NHS, two as data analysts and one as a business architect. And I'll share their stories and how they were able to do it. So the NHS is also absolutely phenomenal. And we'll get there if we have enough time. But let's go to the UK Visa Jobs, for example. This is one of the platforms we love to use because of the quality of the jobs that you get from UK Visa Jobs. So I'm going to share my screen. We're going to go in there together. So if you click on the link, it takes you to UK Visa Jobs. But like I said, you have to subscribe. It's not free. You have to make payments every month to have access to jobs. Okay, so you'd see that it says this is where you apply for students, graduates, and experienced hire jobs with visa sponsorship in the United Kingdom. Now let's get in and see some of the jobs available. So I'm going to just enter the details right here. Sign in. So if you don't have an account, if you haven't made payments, you can't access, jobs within this space. So these are some of the roles available. They currently have about 11,833 roles on the platform available that comes with sponsorship. Okay, I'll maximize it a bit so you can see my screen. But let's search for roles that we are interested in. So let's say we want to get a job as a data analyst or as a business analyst or as a HR analyst or a financial analyst or a data scientist. Okay. So I'm just going to come in here and I'll type the job title. So let's say I want to apply to data science roles. Okay. So data scientist, I'm just going to type that in there. Now, one of the things you also need to take note of when working with UK Visa Jobs is it is very keyword specific. So if you don't write the exact keyword of the type of job you are looking for, you're not likely going to find that job. Okay, so I'm going to type data scientist, click on search, and let's see the roles available. So there are about 33 roles available that comes with sponsorship. These are, summer intern roles, 3 months, 3 months, 3 months. You have the senior data scientist role. You have the data scientist role. This is with Amazon, quite a number of roles from Amazon, data scientist, quality graduate scheme, senior data scientist, CLTV, and so on and so forth. All right. So what you also want to do is go into some of these roles and see the requirements. You want to see the requirements. So let's see with Barclays, for example. Let's click on the link and let's see what the role looks like with Barclays. So once you click on the link, it takes you outside. Once you click on the link, it takes you outside the platform. So you go to the website. Sorry about that. Save my preferences. Okay, so it takes you outside to the organization's website where you can start to apply to that particular job. Now, let's go to see the requirements for this role. What do you need? What are the skills and qualifications? Because if you know what these organizations are looking for, you can start applying, start learning the skills. And this is where, like I said, know what you want to do first of all, and then you start building skills in that area. And I want you to take notes of some of the skills we're going to find in here, okay? They want you to have extensive experience delivering data science projects in a commercial context, expert in machine learning techniques, clustering, classification, regression, NLP, natural language processing, able to write production standard codes in Python with a strong grasp of coding principles, ability to articulate technical findings, familiarity with AWS data science, including SageMaker, experience working with big data environments, including PySpark, proficiency in data visualization software, ideally Tableau. All right. I just want us to have a look at that. Okay. Tableau, Python, machine learning. These are, some of the most important skills required for this particular role. Okay. Very, very important. So once you see the skills required, you start to have a sense of if you can apply to this job or not, and so on and so forth. But guess what? These are skills anybody here on the call today can learn. You can learn the skills within the space of 4 to 5 months, work on projects, and I'll showcase and show you some of the type of projects you'd work on and how you build your portfolio as evidence of solving this type of problems, because recruiters would want to see that you've done the things you say you want to do for them. Okay, so that's a data science role. If we click on any of this as well, it also takes us to that particular company's website. We can see what the role entails. What do you have to do? You have to build models, model development. I'm trying to see if they have indicated specific tools and technologies. Absolutely. So proficiency with data manipulation and modeling tools. Example, pandas. Pandas is in Python, but you can use pandas in Python. Experience with scientific computing tools like NumPy. These are all Python related. Okay. Strong problem solving skills in probability and statistics. Take note of this because we're going to come back to that. Statistics. All right. Very important. So you'd see Python, use of Python, understanding of statistics, knowledge of financial concepts, and that's it. So you can use that, apply to this job, and get the job. Okay. And you can search for different other type of roles. You can come in here, you can search for the business analyst role if you want to apply to the business analyst role. All the jobs on UK visa jobs come with sponsorship. Okay. So there's a job from the NHS, hire business analyst. If you see any NHS job and you're looking for sponsorship, my advice is apply. Okay. We currently have a student in our program. She has 2 offers from 2 different NHS trusts, one from Newcastle, the other one from Northumbria. And she's just considering, which one do I take? Do I go for the one from Newcastle? Do I go for the one from Northumbria? All right. 2 offers sitting on our table at the moment. She's in the data engineering program. So these are the type of opportunities that can come from the NHS. The only thing is the NHS would not pay you that fantastic salary if you are working with BP, for example. Okay. So you come in here, you look at the business analyst role. Okay. You want to apply to one of these jobs. Let's see the one from the NHS. Let's click on the role. Let's see the requirements. And you start to realize very quickly. So this is closing on the 27th. All right. So you still have about 11 days to apply. So you start to realize very quickly that when I checked for data science, there was nothing like certification. As I'm checking for the business analyst role, there is nothing like certification. Okay. So where do people now get the word idea that I must have a certification in this particular area and so on? Okay. So look at certificates of sponsorship for this particular role. Applications from job seekers who require current skilled worker sponsorship to work in the UK are welcome and will be considered alongside other applications. So you can see that clearly, that if you apply to this role, you'll be considered to be given a certificate of sponsorship, and that gives you access to applying for the skilled worker visa. But if you look at what is required, I'm trying to look for specific tools that they have listed. But what are your duties? You're going to work with customers, managers, architects, developers, and other fellow professionals. So make a note of this as well. You'd get to work with people, stakeholders. These are called stakeholders. Your customers are your external stakeholders. You would investigate operational problems, identify and justify effective business solutions through process improvement. Take note of what? Process improvement, because we're going to come back to that. For those confused, what does a business analyst do? What does a data analyst do? You're going to work within rigorous project, program, and service framework. As a business analyst, you would also get to work on projects. All right, it's part of your responsibilities. You would map user requirements clearly to technical delivery groups, translating from business to technical language and vice versa. All right, so this is pretty much what the role entails. They haven't listed specific tools, but I can tell you all the tools you need to learn as a business analyst. So this is UK Visa Jobs. It's a fantastic platform to apply for jobs that come with sponsorship, all in one location. But again, it's not free. You have to pay. But that's the benefit of being a part of Tenalytics. Tenalytics sends you these jobs. All right. And I'll just show you a very good example. So this is a class for data analytics that started in November. If I go into this classroom, for example, one of the first things you would see in this class is job offers. So the job offers, these are the jobs we send to you every single week. The ones that come with sponsorship, the ones that don't come with sponsorship. So we vet the jobs and we send them to you. So you see the ones that come with sponsorship, clearly written yes. So if you apply to these ones, they come with sponsorship. Every single week, we send you these jobs that come with sponsorship. You can apply and you start to get opportunities. So you don't need to pay to those platforms to get access to the jobs. This is just showing you an example. Now, I think I'm only going to go to NHS jobs. We're not going to have time to go to Visa Jobs HQ because I'm showing you three strategies. The first one is paid job boards. Be ready to pay. And if you're not ready to pay, you don't want to pay every single month, being a part of the Tenalytics community gives you access to these jobs because we send them to you every week and you can get to apply easily. But let's go to the NHS and let's see, what does the NHS platform look like? And why are they fantastic? The NHS is fantastic for easily applying to sponsor jobs. So if I go to NHS, click on go to search, it takes me to the NHS platform. I can search, enter my postcode, depending on where you are, or you want to apply, look for jobs across the entire England or Scotland, depending. We can search for different jobs right here. So let's search for a data analyst role. Okay, data analyst. So I type in data analyst. I'm not going to enter any specific postcode and I click on search. This would take me to where you have numerous jobs with the NHS. Most of the NHS jobs also come with visa sponsorship, but you want to look at the salary threshold. This salary threshold, for example, 24,000 to 27,000 cannot come with sponsorship because I think the minimum requirement is about 37,800 pounds per annum or thereabout. So you want to look at this type of role, for example. If you apply to this job, it could come with sponsorship, even though they have not stated that it comes with sponsorship. And that's another strategy I'll share with you as well. Okay, so this would also be the salary threshold meets the requirements. You want to look at that as well as you apply to these roles. Okay, but you'd see so many roles available within the space. Principal data analyst, it's a band 8. business manager and data analyst, and you can apply to these jobs. And you have over 392 pages of jobs to filter, look for the one that meets your requirements, and go ahead and apply. So the NHS is absolutely phenomenal when it comes to visa-sponsored jobs. So that's the first strategy. We are done with that. We move to the second strategy, which I call stoop to conquer. Okay, stoop to conquer. Here, you are not going to paid job boards like UK visa jobs, but you are rather looking for companies that have the potential to sponsor you. The jobs from those companies might not come with sponsorship, but you don't mind, you don't care about that, because you know that if you get that job, and I'll give you the story of Rita. I'm going to share Rita's story with you. Rita came into our data science program. She completed the program and she got a job as a data scientist. The job did not come with sponsorship, but Rita did. If they tell Rita to do 100% on something, she would do 150%. She always did more. She performed better than every other person that was in that company in terms of work ethic. If they tell her to build a dashboard, she would build multiple variations. She did more, a tad bit more that was expected from her. So they saw her as an asset. Now, when the Home Office started to make changes in April, Rita simply told them that, look, these changes would affect me, and I would like for this, organization to give me sponsorship, to give me a COS so I can apply for sponsorship. There was a lot of pushback, and I'll share her story with you. There's a documentation of the messages she sent, but eventually, to summarize, Rita got that job. She got the sponsorship. They gave her the COS. She applied using priority service. She got her sponsorship within 3 days. Okay. Now, she got her skilled worker visa within 3 days, rather. How did Rita do it? She didn't go to companies she didn't apply to job roles that clearly stated that it came with sponsorship. She just applied to get a job after her master's. She got the job, performed better than expected. They saw her as an asset, and she used that as a leverage to request for sponsorship. So that's the strategy called stoop to conquer. Okay. But you want to search for these companies. Where are they? How can I access them? How can I access them? And how can I get companies that can sponsor me, even though the job does not say sponsorship outrightly? All right. So I'll share how to look for these companies. One of them is from the gov.uk website. You can download a spreadsheet that has all the organizations with their licenses and all of that. But you don't want to go that route. It can be a bit difficult. That's going the route of using the register of licensed sponsor from the gov.uk website. All right. It's fantastic as well, but it could take time. You want to do this fast as possible, and apply to jobs. We're going to go to company jobs. All right. We go to company jobs, and I'll show you how you can use this to your advantage. And if we have time, I'll also show you worksponsors.co.uk. All right. Remember, if you want to receive all the slides, all the materials, make sure you fill the attendance form so that you get access to the recording, you get access to my slides and everything we discussed today. Now, if I click on company jobs, it takes me to the website. The website shows you companies that have the license to sponsor, number one. It shows you the number of COS they issued in the previous year. So you know that if a company issued only 15 COS in 2023, what are the chances that that company would give me a COS? Is very low. But if a company issued 500 COSs in 2023, the chances of getting a COS from that company would be very high. So you want to look for those companies that have that potential to sponsor you. All right. So if you come in here, you'd see different companies: Proforce Limited, Concordia, Tata Consulting Services, and you'd see the number of COSs issued. Tata, for example, 6,754. Proforce, 9,279. Concordia, 7,785. and so on and so forth. You can scroll all the way down. You can move through pages. Cognizant 2034. We have one of our participants working in Cognizant, also got full visa sponsorship as well. So once you scroll through, you start to see the companies. Once you see the companies, what do? You go to their career pages. Every company would have a career page on their website. Go there and see the roles they have open and available. All right. You can also search. So you've currently learned, data science. You want to get a job as a data scientist, and you've seen a role that is available. The role is from NatWest Group, and you want to be sure that NatWest offers sponsorship. All you need to do is come in here and type the name. So I'm going to type NatWest because I've seen a role available for a data science role, and I want to be sure that applying to this role, I have the chance, or I have at least NatWest can give me that COS and I can get sponsorship with them. You can enter the name and search listing. So once you search, it would bring up the organization, NatWest Group, all right? And you can see the number of COSs they issued, 535, which is pretty impressive, meaning that if they've issued 535 COSs, then there's a likelihood I can also get a COS from them and get sponsorship. So what you do from here is you go online, go on Google and search for NatWest Careers UK or NatWest Group, depending, to come up with their career page. Okay, so you'd see the NatWest Group jobs and careers. Click on that to take you to the website for the career page, and then you can see the roles. Oops, sorry about that. You can see the roles they have available. You can scroll through, see all the jobs they have available, or you can search for the specific role you want to apply to. All right. So let's search, for example, I'll come in here and I'll search for a data science role. Okay. Data science or data scientist, type it in there, hit enter, or click on search, and let's see what roles they have available. All right. I want them to show me only jobs available in the UK. Don't show me jobs in India. So I can come in down here and I can select United Kingdom only. Show me jobs only in United Kingdom. You can also filter for the city. You are in Edinburgh, you are in London, you are in Manchester. You can also filter for that. Okay. So you have fraud prevention data scientist. This is a role available. It was posted 3 days ago. So pretty recent. Let's click on this and see what the job looks like and what you'd be doing for NatWest on this particular role. It's a permanent role. Applications would close on the 18th. That should be on Monday or thereabouts. So for those who want to apply, it's a good time for you to apply. So what would you do? What skills would you need? Let's go to the skills. Ability to use data to solve business problems. Okay, I saw something on Tableau. I'm just going to highlight that. Tableau, cloud application and options, experience using programming languages like Python, for example, experience of exploratory data analysis. I want somebody to write this down. Exploratory data analysis. So these are some of the skills that you need as a data scientist. Okay. So I only saw the use of Tableau, which they clearly, specified. They didn't mention anything else apart from using programming languages. So if you know Python, preferably Python is better than R. You want to learn Python. Okay. So these are the ways you can search for jobs: compliance data analytics manager, behavioral and applied empirical science audit manager, and so on. So these are roles. Decision scientist, another fantastic role within the data science ecosystem. So that's how you can use this website, okay, UK company jobs, to look for organizations that have the potential to sponsor you. Work Sponsors also does the same thing for you. If you go to worksponsors.co.uk, it takes you to where you can apply. You can find sponsored jobs in the UK easily. All right. You can look for companies that are hiring and you can start to apply to the jobs available. So you'd see recent available jobs. This was posted 19 minutes ago, for example. This is a data engineer role. All right. You have a demand planning role. As a demand planner, you are in supply chain. All right. Demand planning is supply chain plus data analytics, or supply chain plus data science. So you're helping an organization plan their demand for the future. How much sales are we likely going to have in the next 5 months? How much parcels are we likely going to deliver in the next 6 months? All right. You have analytics engineer and so on and so forth. An analytics engineer is a data engineer. So you can search for roles, you can look for remote jobs, and the jobs from this particular platform also comes with what? Sponsored jobs in the UK. The final strategy I'll be sharing with you today, which is the third strategy. So you have the paid job boards. You're applying to jobs from paid websites. You have everything on one place. You can apply to those jobs. The second part is you look for the companies that have the possibility to sponsor because they have sponsored 1,000 people last year or 500 people. You apply to jobs in that company and you know that you're going to give it your 200% every single day. Once they see how good you are, your work ethic, you tell them, you request at that point that you want sponsorship. All right. And the final strategy is leveraging recruitment agencies. So most of these recruitment agencies, and what I've listed here, are the agencies that have jobs and they look for organizations, they look for clients, they look for people like you looking for sponsorship, and they connect those organizations with you and place you into those companies. All right. So I'm going to go into one of them just very quickly because of time. So you want to look for these recruitment agencies, build a profile, upload your profile on the platform, and you also get to look for jobs within that space. So if I click on this, for example, you can go to Michael Page, Hayes, Adecco, and so on. They all provide sponsorship. If I click on this particular link, it takes me to the website and I can see roles that are available. Technology related roles, data related roles. Search all our data jobs. Okay, search all our data jobs. So here you want to apply to a data engineering role. You can type the keyword data engineer and you search. So you start to see opportunities, the roles available, staff data engineer, okay, senior data engineer. So here you can specify the location because some of the location would come from outside the UK, but you can tailor it and narrow it down to, England or Scotland or Northern Ireland, depending, and you see roles available in that specific region. Data engineer role in London, between £80,000, thereabouts, and you can apply to these jobs. Most of them would also come with visa sponsorship. So when it comes to these agencies, they are looking for you. They want to connect you to organizations that need the data engineer because they would also get paid for connecting you to that organization. So you want to apply to jobs from agencies as well. It gives you a whole lot of opportunities and you can see the roles available. And one of the difference you'd see when we looked at the data analyst role, we didn't see any role that started from 90,000 to 100,000. You don't get to see that for the data analyst role, but you'd see that a lot with the data engineering role. Data engineers earn fantastic salaries across board. The UK, the US, Canada, it doesn't matter where you are. As a data engineer, you earn fantastic salary. Okay. You can also do the same. Go to Michael Page, Robert Walters. These are organizations, agencies that have sponsorship jobs available for you to take advantage, access those jobs, apply to those jobs. And that's the third strategy I'll be sharing with you. All right. So these are three strategies from a multitude of so many other strategies. And I'll share one more before I move on to something else. So when it comes to targeting recruitment agencies, you are hunting the hunter. You are going for those jobs yourself without waiting for them to come to you. When you get these organizations, ensure that you create a profile on their page. Create a profile. After creating a profile, upload your CV, place a phone call through to them, or even visit them. Let them know what you want. Let them know you are looking for a sponsored job. Don't sit down at home and just do all your applications. No, take a day, 2 days during the week, visit these agencies. So if you go to a Robert Walters, for example, or a Michael Page, you would always get to see where you can register your CV. If you are a candidate, submit your CV, create a profile, and they know you are somebody looking for sponsorship. They need you just as much as you also need them. They want you just as much as you also want them. So search for these agencies. I've kept a couple of them on my slide. You can access these organizations, create a profile, upload your CV, place a phone call through to them, let them know what you want to do. You're looking for sponsorship. These are your skills. They create a profile for you. And you can also visit. Okay, visit the agencies, let them know what you want. The person that pushes a little bit more eventually would get those type of opportunities. You can't do the conventional things everybody else is doing and expect to get different results from what they are getting. You get the same results. Okay, so we're going to stop on these strategies for today, and there are more strategies to also leverage. Because of time, I'm going to stop on the 3 strategies I've shared with you. Job boards that are paid, target the organizations that have the potential to sponsor you, number 2. And number 3, target recruitment agencies that are also looking for you to connect you to employers. And it's always impossible, or it always sounds impossible until it is done. So I'm going to share some success stories very quickly. Once I share the success stories with you, I'll show you all those roles we saw: business analyst, data analyst, data scientist. What do you need to learn to get into those roles? There were certain keywords I said you should highlight because we're going to get back to them. But what do you need to know? This is Ikmat. Ikmat was a stay-at-home mom for over 4 years. She didn't work for 4 years. She moved to the UK for her master's. And very quickly, she realized that I'm not going to get the job that I want to get from the skills I'm learning from my master's. So she joined our data analytics program. And 3 months into her training, she got 2 job offers, but she couldn't take the 2 jobs because of the 20-hour limitation. She couldn't work more than 20 hours as a student, but she kept on applying, and we kept preparing her for her interviews. And today, Ikmat is a data analyst with the NHS, and her job came with full visa sponsorship. That's Ikmat's story. You have Ramat. Ramat used to work as a customer success representative with British Gas in the UK. She was also a master's student. She joined our business analysis program, and today, Ramat is a business architect with the NHS as well. Also came with full visa sponsorship. Then you have Toyin. Toyin was a pharmacist while she was in Nigeria. She came to the UK also for her master's. She realized that she has been applying to jobs, no positive interviews. She couldn't get opportunities. She joined our data analytics program, and today Toyin works as a benefit analyst with the NHS as well, full visa sponsorship. So I kept these 3 success stories deliberately to tie it back to the NHS website I shared with you. If you want to get opportunities, the NHS would give you massive opportunities. They don't pay the best salaries, but you will get access to sponsorship. And there's so many other success stories that I would share, but I want you to listen to one of them. I've kept the link for you to listen to them, listen to Ikmat, how she transitioned, listen to Toyin, what she was able to do, listen to Ramat, and all of that. What is common across the 3 of them They had no background, no experience. Okay. Remember, for you to get access to all the materials, you want to ensure that you fill the attendance form so you get access to the materials. But let's listen to Ikmat. It's a short video about almost 3 minutes or thereabout, about 3 minutes. You get to listen to Ikmat. Certain things I want you to take out of Ikmat's story. The interview prep, preparing her for interviews. She knew exactly what she needed to do when she went into the room for all the interviews that she did. She had strategies on how to get better because she didn't just do one interview, she did multiple, right? So when she didn't perform well or she got a rejection after an interview, we ensure that she collected feedback. Get feedback so we can build on that feedback and help you prepare. But listen to Ikmat yourself so you get to hear Ikmat's story. So I'm going to click on the link. It's a short video.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, I want to be sure it is audible, loud enough for everybody to hear. So I'm just going to confirm that the audio is okay. So the audio is there. Okay, so sit back, relax, listen to Ikmat, and I'm sure you get to learn one or two things from her.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ikmat, and I was with the March cohort in 10 Analytics, and joining 10 Analytics has been the best decision so far. You know, for me, someone coming from a background of full housewife, because I had to stay back home to look after my child for 4 years, and then wanting to break into something new, wanting to go back into the workforce, wanting to place myself in the society for better job opportunities. So it was a lot. And then I'm glad that Analytics came along, and then they presented me with so many opportunities right in front of me, better opportunities. And then I'm glad I took it. And then also the advice of do not sell yourself short, that Effie is always saying, it is very, very valid, because place yourself right, don't sell yourself short. It's a very, very, very valid advice. In Analytics, they will hold your hands like a child, through the modules. You have the opportunity to go back and study. You have the opportunity to go back and practice. You have the opportunity to ask questions. You have people you can always go back to, even outside of class hours. It's the most amazing experience so far, really. And then another thing is the interview prep, guys. That is another very important thing. I did my interview prep with Mr. Mohammed, and it is the best decision ever, because it was like he saw into the future. He knew what was going to be asked, and I'm glad that I wrote down all the things he mentioned. I went back to practice, and then when it was time for the interview, it was like everything he was mentioning, everything he mentioned, it was just they kept on. And then when I was answering those questions, I was so confident, because I already practiced. I did an Excel test, I did a maths test, and then they were really impressed. And another thing is, guys, it may not come as fast as you expect. Definitely you are going to get some no's, and then you may begin to think you're not good enough. You are good enough, yes. The no's will come, but always take it as a basis for learning and development, because after every interview where I got a no, I always make sure I get a personal feedback. So I work on those feedbacks for my next interviews. And yes, it worked. It really worked for me, because I got my first job 3 months into the program, my first job. But I couldn't take up the job because I was a student, and I was only eligible to work 20 hours. So I couldn't take up the job. 3 months later, I got 2 jobs with full visa sponsorship. And guys, all the other no's before the 2 jobs prepared me for the yeses I got. So yes, the no's will come, but do not give up, because you always have Analytics to go back to. They are the best and the best thing that's ever happened to me. And then yes, and they are the most affordable, the most affordable one I've come across so far, and that's a very good advantage. So yes, Analytics for the win.
Okay, so that's Ikmat. It's always absolutely amazing listening to Ikmat. Ikmat is doing an amazing job with the NHS at the moment as a data analyst after completing the data analytics program. And you heard her. She got feedback for every single interview. We worked with her after those interviews, prepared her for the upcoming interviews. And that was how she was able to thrive. She knew how to prepare, what to prepare for. And that's how you increase your chances of landing the job rather than just attending interviews and getting rejections every single time. Okay. And I'll come back and play one of the other videos later. I'm sure you want to listen to one of these other professionals, either Ramat or Tony, or even Abisola. Abisola is also in the UK. She joined our data science program, and Abisola's very first job was as a Python curriculum designer after she completed the program. And the second job she got, where we prepared her for her interview, her mentorship sessions, interview preparation, was as a machine learning engineer, also in the UK. You have somebody like Oluwafikayo. Oluwafikayo is in Canada, in Toronto. She has a finance background. So she doesn't have any background in technology or anything like that. She came into our full stack data science program. And today, Oluwafikayo is a business solutions analyst with an organization in Canada. And there's so many other stories, so many other success stories. Lois was an accountant back in Nigeria. Today, Lois is a project manager after completing the business analysis program. You have somebody like Ngozi. Ngozi was a HR professional back in Nigeria, also worked in customer service while in the UK. She joined our business analysis program. And today, Ngozi is a business analyst working out of Huddersfield. You have somebody like Ulua Damilare, who had no experience in tech. He joined our data analytics program, and today he's a sustainability data analyst with BAM in the UK, and so many other professionals. Abigail was a care worker. She joined our business analysis program, and today Abigail is a business analyst. And so many other success stories. You have everything on my slide. Before we wrap up, I'm going to come back to play one of the other videos so you get to listen to somebody else and you get to know their journey. All right. Ikmat was a stay-at-home mom. She was a master's student, like so many people. She didn't know what to do. She had applied to jobs, couldn't get jobs. And she realized that she needed to upskill, get into a career path that is high in demand, and she can also learn within the space of 4 to 5 months. She came into our data analytics program. We worked with her. She knew where to apply, how to apply. We prepared her for our interviews, and she secured that job with the NHS. ICMAT alone has referred over 10 people back to Tenalytics because of the value that she got from the program. Now, we've had massive success across the UK, helping people within the UK to transition into the tech ecosystem. And at the end of last year, 2023, we looked to expand to the North American regions. For those in the US, those in Canada, we needed to also help Africans within that space to make the transition. So we moved to Canada in January 2024 to register Tenalytics as a business here in Canada. And one of the things, or one of the key drivers helping us achieve that in Canada, was to get into the Alberta Catalyzer program, which is run by the government. It's an innovation hub, an accelerator that helps innovative companies to grow, scale, and provide more value to their customers. So you'd see me right there, and you see the co-founder, Ifemena, and you'd see me right there as well, and Ifemena, the co-founder. So I've also kept the link for access to read the article, read the report, to also get to see the amazing stuff. For those in Canada, we are here for you, and we are also here to help you thrive within the space as well. So if you click on the link to the article, it takes you to the page where you can read about the different startups. That's me. That's Ifemena. You get to see what the startups are all about, what we are doing, how we are helping over 2,500 Africans to land successful tech career jobs within the last 4 years. And you get to see all the other founders as well. So for those in the US, for those in Canada, we are here for you to also do the same across different areas within the tech ecosystem. Now, I'm going to take you to how to get into business analysis. What should you learn? If you're going into data science, what should you consider? Some people learn, I talked about that at the beginning. If you learn data science and you start from Python, you're going to crash out of that program because you'd find it very difficult to cope. So there are so many questions. The sponsorship job is only limited to those already in the UK. Not at all. I don't know how to pronounce your name, Heyo. It's available to everybody, okay, across the globe, but you have to look at the job requirements when applying to the job. And these are some of the things we also help you to do. Can an undergraduate get a visa sponsored job in Ireland? Absolutely, Kingsley. Absolutely. Okay, but do you have a degree at the moment? Do you already have a degree? Do you have um, any higher education when applying to this job? So I'm going to make a note of all these questions, and I'm going to answer all the questions I've seen so far. Okay, Olalaya is saying, I've learned data analytics before now, but not confident. Currently in the UK, MSc in project management with a degree in estate management and so on. I really want to break into the space. Confidence, I'll show you how you can build confidence, okay? A lot of people think they are data analysts, but they are not, because they haven't learned data analytics the way you should learn. And I'll be showing you now what you need to do and why our participants are successful. What's that secret sauce that makes us successful? Okay. So one of the mistakes you would easily find people making and why you struggle to land jobs, why you have that imposter syndrome, I don't think I'm good enough, or you also don't have the right skills, is people chase certifications rather than chasing skills. One of the very big mistakes. We looked at a couple of jobs. There was nowhere as a data scientist. In fact, there is no data science certification recognized anywhere in the globe. It doesn't exist. There's no regulated certification. But people always focus on certifications rather than focusing on skills and experience. If all you care about is that next certification, you're never going to get a job. In fact, we have a watchword at Tenalytics, and it's called competence. Competence over credentials. Competence over credentials. The credentials mean nothing. That master's you are doing in the UK would not get you a job. What gets you the job? Your competence. Your competence comprises of your skills and your experience. Every organization expects that you have the skills. It's a given. You have the skills to do the job, number one. Number two, you have the experience because you've done it before and you can come back to do it for them. So how do you build the experience is what I'm going to talk about. And I'll show you as I walk you through each career path and what you need to do. So that's one major mistake people make. Please, after this session, put it at the back of your mind, write it somewhere. Competence over credentials. I'm going to build my skills and experience before I ever think of certification. Write it somewhere, okay? The second reason people struggle is you join training programs that don't have project-based case studies and don't also have internships. I talked about building skills and experience. The only way you can build experience, the same way ICMAT built experience, Ramat built experience, Tony, Abisola, Abigail, who was a care worker, but today is a business analyst, is to work on project-based case studies. When you work on those project-based case studies, you have to build a portfolio, which is your showroom. It's like you walk into IKEA to buy a couch. You walk into IKEA, you'd see a model of the couch you want to buy. And then you get to buy that couch. You can touch it, you can feel it, you can sit on it. You know how good it is. You can see the colors. You must also have a showroom for the project you've completed. That's how employers, potential employers, recruiters would see that you're the right person. You have the skills that they need before they even talk to you. I'll show you what a project portfolio looks like eventually. You can't start your journey on YouTube. You can't start on Coursera as a beginner. That's another mistake people make. How many of us have 1,000,001 programs or courses we've bought on Udemy, Coursera, but we never finish? I'm one of them. As a beginner, you don't start learning on 100% self-paced environment. You get frustrated because you can't ask questions. Somebody getting into the space, you need to ask a lot of questions. You need a human being teaching you, somebody who is on the job, somebody who has done that job you are trying to get. So you can ask questions, you can stop them. Oh, I've done this, I can't get the same thing, the same result you got. Tell me what I'm doing wrong. You share your screen and they tell you what you're doing wrong, and you can correct that and improve, what you're learning. You can't do that on YouTube. I use YouTube today, but as a professional, I have the background, I have the foundation, I have the knowledge, and I can learn more things by watching a very short video on YouTube. But for somebody starting, you can't go that route. You'd get frustrated and you drop out. Okay? You don't also have the experience of employability skills. You don't know how to interview. You don't know how to answer questions as simple as, tell me about yourself. How do you introduce yourself using techniques like the SEAT approach? How do you answer competency-based questions? Questions that aim to test your skills and experience. Tell me about a time you've built a machine learning model. What algorithms did you use? And what were your considerations in selecting those algorithms? These are competency-based questions. How do you respond using techniques like the STAR approach? And these are the things we show you how to do. How do you get in front of the interviewers in the first place? You need to have the right CV. You need to have the right LinkedIn. So from your CV to your LinkedIn to interviewing, you don't have those skills. How do you want to get that job? Sponsorship involves financial commitment from the organizations hiring you. They want to hire the best to spend that money on. So how do you portray yourself as the best for that role? You don't have that, you're not going to get the job. And finally, you don't know where to apply. You don't know how to apply. And that's why you can't get opportunities that come with sponsorship and so on and so forth. So if you find yourself in any of these 5 key areas, these are not all the issues people face, but these are 5 of the most common issues people would face. How do you then surmount them? And that's how Tenalytics makes you succeed, how we help you succeed to land a job, to land a sponsored job. We know what you need to learn. We know it takes more than just the technical skills for you to break into any job, especially when it comes to sponsorship across the globe. Okay. Now, we know that it takes both the technical and the employability skills. So somebody said, oh, I've learned data analytics in the past, but I don't know if I'm good enough. I can't get a job. You're probably just very good with the technical skills. You can use Excel, you can use Power BI. But when it comes to employability, do you know how to tailor your CV to jobs before you apply? Are you that person that does easy apply on LinkedIn? Or do you take one CV and apply to multiple jobs? How do you tailor CVs? How do you have the right LinkedIn that matches your persona? These are the things you also have to consider. How do you interview? When you get into an interview, you must control that interview. You start with small talk. Start with small talk. Talk about certain things about the company that you researched. Oh, I was on LinkedIn yesterday and I saw some team bonding photos of the last team bonding exercise that you carried out. How often do you have these team bonding activities? Start with small talk. Let them tell you what it's looks like and all of that. Oh, the weather is a bit cold today. I had to rush from the house down to this place. How is the weather where you are? Or what do you think about the weather? Start with small talk. And you need to know how to prepare for that. And that's where we make you successful. T plus E equals the job offer. The technical skills plus employability skills is what gets you the job. You cannot have one. You can't be the best in the use of Python and get that job. No, you don't need to be the best. You need to be good enough and you need to know how to sell yourself. Okay. So once you've known this, which is what we focus on, the two-pronged approach, then you have to do certain things. You know that this is Victoria, for example. Victoria wants to become a data engineer or a data analyst or a business analyst. What does Victoria do? She has to first of all learn the skill. So at Tenalytics, you don't learn the way you learn in your university in the UK. I've done masters in the UK as well. I know the way it works. You don't learn the skills you need to get a job in the university. University, you do a lot of theoretical work, you do a lot of group projects, you do a lot of research-based projects, and so on. Nothing related to the skills that would enable you to do the job. So how do you learn in a way that you start to learn those skills, you start to apply the skills, and that's where you learn in a hybrid model, in a blended approach. So your classes are not just self-paced. You have the self-paced class and you also have the live sessions. And I'll show you what it looks like very quickly. All right. So once you subscribe or you're subscribed to Tenalytics, for example, you get onboarded into the LMS, the Learning Management System. So the Learning Management System is where you have access to all your materials. Okay, so welcome back, Adeza. This is my own page. So you can see my name right there. Once you sign in, you log in, you get access to your own dashboard. Okay, you have an interview coming up. All you have to do is come to your interview board, click on schedule appointment, and you can fill in your details for somebody to prepare you for that interview. You enter your name, select the program, say you've registered for business analysis, select business analysis, enter the link to the job you've applied to, details about the interview, what stage, is it the HR conversation, first level, second level, select the stage, pick a date. Say you want your interview prep to be on Sunday, tomorrow the 17th, select 17th and upload the CV you use to apply to that job. All right. Schedule your appointment and somebody would meet with you one-on-one, just like Ikmat had somebody prepare her. Mohammed prepared her for her interview and Ikmat was able to land the job, visa sponsored job with the NHS. That's how you schedule appointments for interviews. You want a reference letter from us. You can request for a reference letter. You simply come in here, click on that, enter your details as well. You let us know the purpose of the reference, everything, reason. Is it a job offer? Is it for your visa application? Is it for studies? And so on. And once you click on that, you get access to the reference letter from us. Now, say you've joined business analysis, you get to see the program you've paid for on the platform. This is your self-paced platform. So if I click on continue learning, for example, it takes me to the business analysis class and I can watch all my videos at any point in time on this platform. So you don't need to join classes every day. Your live classes are only on Saturdays. On Sundays, Monday, Tuesday, you can log in, practice on your own, watch your videos as a business analyst. Every single thing you need, you have them here. Okay. So take, for example, as a business analyst, I've completed my Excel, my Power BI, my SQL. Now I'm moving to project initiation and planning. Every single module has a case study. And the case study is where you get to practice the things you've learned in a real world scenario. So in this particular case study, you get to watch the video, you see what the case study is all about. You're going to learn how to use the RACI matrix for your stakeholder analysis. You read about the task, you read about the scenario, and you start to implement. You are building from scratch. Nobody's going to give you a template for you to work with. You're going to build from scratch. So you watch the video, you understand what it takes to build this, and that's how you start to build the skill. So once you get into the job, you know exactly what to do. All right. How do you write a business case? How do you come up with a business case? You also have a case study that you would walk from start till finish, writing a business case, coming up with a business case for a company called Chimonica Bank. Okay. So you watch everything, start from scratch, build what you need to build. And at the end of the day, you would realize that I started from zero and now I'm building a business case document. I know how to analyze my stakeholders, create a stakeholder register. That's what the self-paced classes are meant for. You get to learn on your own, watch on your own, and practice. All right. Then you have the live sessions. Okay. So I showed you a little bit of that when I was showing you the job offer. For the live sessions, you have access to your live classes every Saturday. So this is the class that started this month in November, the data analytics November cohort. All right. They started on the 2nd of November a few weeks ago. Your mentorship sessions are also on this platform. They are live. So the last session we had was interview simulation. We simulate the interview experience for you. You also learn how to use, I had a session as well 2 weeks ago, how to use AI in your job application. Okay. Now, the beauty about this is all your sessions are recorded. So if you miss this class, for example, you can come back and watch. So if you click on this, it takes you to the session I had. That's me right there. And I was teaching how to use AI-enabled platforms to apply to jobs, number one. How do you also tailor your CV to job applications? If you look at this platform, for example, you'd see 98% match. So it shows you that your CV matches this job by 98%. But the jobs where you match by, say, 60%, how do you tailor your CV so you can improve the match before you go ahead and apply? So this is a live session where people could ask questions. I showed you how to do this. We took a CV from scratch. We worked on that CV and we tailored the CV to the job application. We took the CV from a point of about 72% to 95% at the end before we went ahead to apply to that job. So it's a practical session where you have things like this. This is what the mentorship session looks like every single time. So that's how you learn. Then when you look at the live classes, so the last class they had on Excel, if you look at Excel, if you go to the class material, you'd see that all the classes are project based. You don't just learn Excel the way you are used to learning Excel. That's your facilitator right there. He's worked for companies in the US. He's currently a senior business partner with Tangerine Financial Group. Fantastic professional who's going to work with you on Excel. So here you are helping a company called Restrani. It's in the food and restaurant business, and you are helping them to streamline their processes. Okay, you are helping them to improve their business, increase revenue, and so on. So when you learn Excel, you don't learn Excel by just watching videos and practicing. You learn Excel by solving real world problems. So you see case studies like this that you complete. This forms part of your experience. So once you've learned in the self-paced, you've watched your videos in the self-paced platform, you've joined your live classes, the next thing is what? You need to build your project-based experience. So all those case studies you solve, you're going to create, you build a showroom just as if you were IKEA selling furniture. People want to buy furniture, they go to the showroom, they see what the furniture look like, and then they buy. You are a professional who wants to get a job. You are a data engineer, for example. You're going to build a portfolio. Those projects you complete in class, you do what? Upload those projects to your portfolio, and everybody across the globe can see what you've built. So if I click on this portfolio, this is Gad Nwachukwu joined our data engineering program. And if you look at what Gad has done, this is where you have access to his profile. You can go to his LinkedIn from here. You can connect with him on Twitter. You can connect with him on Medium, and you can see the type of the skills and the languages he's used building this portfolio and working on projects, right? If I click on one of the projects, energy efficient residential building, it takes me to this particular project where he built a model that could determine the energy efficiency of residential buildings. You can read about it, the objective, the data set, the models that he used, linear regression, ridge, random forest, how he trained the models, evaluated. But even better, you can click on the Python notebook and you can see all the codes that Nwachukwu wrote in order to solve that particular problem. So this is you giving access to a recruiter, access to a potential employer to see how good you are. So any employer can see the libraries that you've used, how you've written your codes, how you've cleaned the data, all right? How you've removed your blanks, how you've how you scaled the data set for analysis, the type of models you've used, the visualizations you used to get some insights or exploratory data analysis, how you trained the model. And this is you having a portfolio, all right? If we go to Lemuel, Lemuel is a business analyst. If I click on this, it takes us to her portfolio as well. Business analyst, everybody gets to build a portfolio as long as you're in the Tenalytics program. So one of the projects you'd see that Lemuel worked on is the Unilever canteen ordering system. Anybody can click and see what this project is all about. So if I click on that, it takes us to Lemuel's portfolio, and slowly you can start to see what she's done. All right. So this is a project for Unilever. In their canteen, the staff canteen, you always have issues. There's always rush, employees rushing to get lunch because there is no properly aligned timing and so on. So your role as a business analyst is to streamline the ordering process in the canteen. All right. So you talk about the objectives of what you're trying to do. You come up with a business case. Okay. So you see what Lemuel has done, coming up with a business case, the stakeholders involved, analyzing the stakeholders based on their interest and power, using the RACI matrix to also analyze stakeholders, do the SWOT analysis, gather the different requirements, the front end, technical requirements, functional requirements, and also come up with a process map, the as-is process. So currently in Unilever, what does the process look like? How do employees order, and how do they get their orders from the canteen when they go for lunch? Then as a business analyst, you don't stop there. Once you know what the current process looks like, the as-is, you then have to do what? Come up with the future state. What does the ideal process need to look like? The to-be state, okay? So you see the different sprints, all right? The user stories, and so anybody who looks at this knows how good Lemuel is, without a doubt. And this is where you start to get called for interviews. Sunshine Resorts, an analysis using Power BI, British Airways, helping British Airways optimize their pricing, increase customer satisfaction using Excel and Power BI. And these are the type of projects you're going to work on. So once you learn the skills, then you have to do what? You have to work on projects, and you build a portfolio for your project. Once you've done that, then we work with you on your employability skills, your CV, LinkedIn optimization. If you don't have a LinkedIn profile, we help you build a LinkedIn profile, work with you to build one. If you have one already, we show you how to optimize. Navigating the job market. How do you apply? Like the things I've shown you today, where are the opportunities? How do you access these opportunities? We have sessions on that to show you how to do that. Interview prep. I showed you how to book your interview. If you have an interview coming up, a professional will join the call, prepare you, ask you questions, simply do a mock interview for you to see your level of preparedness. And then we tell you what you need to improve, how to improve, and then we have a second session with you. Get a reference from us. So one of the things any major recruiter in the UK wants to see is you're not a beginner. So you never tell people that I'm a beginner, I'm just learning within the last 5 to 4 months or 3 months. No, what you do is portray yourself as a professional. So what we always advise is the moment you join us, you don't join us as a student, but you join us as a contractor. Okay, so what does that mean? And I'll show you a practical example of how this plays out. So let's go to LinkedIn. And I want to show you what this means and how this gives you access to opportunities that you never thought about before today. So let's go to Damilare. I'd like to show Damilare's profile just to give you an idea. So Damilare is a gentleman that works with BAM in the UK as a sustainability data analyst. If you go to his profile, one of the first things you'd see is what? He worked with us as a data analyst on what? Contract. And that was how he got access to this particular opportunity, where he currently works as a sustainability data analyst with BAM in the UK. He's been there for the last 8 months. He got the job in April this year. So BAM would reach out to us. They reached out to us to complete a reference form for Oluwadamilare. No employer, like I said, wants to see that you're a beginner and you want to learn at their own expense at the end of the day. So that's how you want to position yourself. And these are some of the things we show you how to position yourself to access the jobs that you need. Then you have your networking sessions and mentorship. Your mentorship happens every Thursdays, 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. UK time. That's where you get to see me. We bring in other professionals, industry experts to work with you and prepare you for the future ahead. When Ikmat said, analytics literally holds your hands, that's what she's talking about. The mentorship sessions are absolutely phenomenal. That's where we show you how to overcome the imposter syndrome. You know exactly what you need to do. You can ask professionals questions. Myself, the co-founder, other professionals also residing in the UK, Canada, the US, they share perspectives of the trends within the industry and what you need to do. And that's what gets you the job. So the focus is not just on technical for us. Employability is very key. CV, your LinkedIn, your how to navigate, where to apply. We send you these jobs every single week that we have vetted. And we know that if you apply to these jobs, you'd get opportunities for interviews. If you get the interviews, we prepare you for those interviews. Once you get the job offer, we provide you with a reference letter. Once you've gotten on the job and you have one or two things you need to ask questions, I'm working on a data migration project. I need help. Okay. We have on the job support for 1 month until you have a solid footing on that role. Then you have the weekly mentorship. And finally, Upwork optimization. Okay. So Upwork is where you apply to work on freelance opportunities and freelance jobs. Now, I said I'm going to share Rita's story on how Rita was able to secure her visa sponsored job, even though she got that job without sponsorship. The job did not come with sponsorship, but she was able to turn the job into a visa sponsored job. And she's currently on a tier 2 skilled worker visa. But before we get into Rita, I'll quickly walk you through the tools and technologies you need to learn to get into all the career path I highlighted. Okay. And I'll try to explain it as simple as possible using very simple stories. Now, for the business analyst, as a business analyst, always remember this thing. I told you to write a couple of things down when we check the business analyst role. One of the things you'd see is what? Process. As a business analyst, this is your business in any organization, the process. Every business has people, process, and technology. Okay. But the business analyst would focus on what? Process. How do I make the process better? How do I optimize the process? Something that takes 3 days or 5 days. How can I reduce it to take just 3 minutes or 5 minutes? Most of these type of roles, most of this type of optimization would come with automation. You have to automate to make the process more efficient. So let's use a very simple story. Now, you work at a supermarket or you have a friend that owns a store where they sell retail products and different items. But customers are complaining because the queues are very long. They have very long queues. So when you buy items, you have to wait very long on the queue for you to make payment. Now, as a business, because of this, customers are leaving to your competitors. They're shopping somewhere else instead of coming to your store. And this is reducing sales. Customers are frustrated. As a business analyst, what do? You go into this company and you try to understand how do customers come in and how do they buy items. So you first of all would map out the process. How does this process start and how does it end? And in between, you want to identify the gaps and inefficiencies. And in order for you to understand how customers buy, how they get to pay, you do something called stakeholder engagement as a business analyst. You sit down with the different stakeholders, with the CEO, the manager, the cashiers at the checkout kiosk. You sit down with everybody and you start to understand what the process entails. Then you get to realize that over time, they have employed more cashiers to attend to customers, but it increased the cost of running that particular store. So they had to cancel. So as a business analyst, what do? You realize that when customers stay on the queue, it takes roughly about 20 minutes before the customers get attended to. And when the customers are eventually attended to, they're frustrated, they've stayed a long time on the queue, and this becomes a problem. But you sat down with everybody, you understand how customers come in, how they shop, they're frustrated, it takes them 20 minutes, and you cannot hire more cashiers because it would cost the business a lot of money. Now, you also do your research across the industry. Who are your competitors? So you do something called competitor analysis. What does Walmart do? Okay, what does Costco do? How long do their customers have to stay on the queue? And you get to realize from your competitor analysis that a typical customer would stay at Costco for, let's say, 5 minutes and at Walmart for 3 minutes. So they are doing a lot better than you. And that's why your customers are leaving you and going to your competitors. Now, you also find out what are they doing well that customers only have to wait for 5 minutes or 3 minutes instead of the 20 minutes that we are currently experiencing with our customers. And the magic that these organizations are doing is simply they have a self-service checkout. Okay, so you don't have to go to a cashier, a physical person, to get to pay for your items. You can simply go to the self-service checkout and you get to pay. And these are the analyses you've done. These are the studies you've done as a business analyst. You've sat down with all the different stakeholders to understand what the problem is. Now you would recommend to the business that we need to implement the self-service checkout so that we can move from 20 minutes to what? To 2 minutes. For you to implement the self-service checkout that would enable the business to be more efficient, you're also going to do something we call elicitation. You'd organize workshops, okay? You'd organize focus group sessions with the different stakeholders involved in bringing this particular project to life. So the internal technology team, you sit down with them, have a conversation. Do we have the internal capacity to come up with this self-service kiosk? Do we need to buy or do we need to build our own? What specific features do we need to have? And this is you asking the right questions to come up with the answers that would help you move from people on the queue to the self-service checkout, where you can improve from 20 minutes to just 2 minutes of customers waiting on the queue. All right. So you also get to realize that based on my analysis from Costco and Walmart, they only accept MasterCard in their self-service checkout. We need to implement both MasterCard and Visa as part of the requirement. So the moment you come up with something like this as a business analyst, you make a case to the business. You make a what? A business case. We can't hire people to fill those roles, but we can implement the self-service checkout. This is the initial cost, but over time, we're going to reap the benefits. So you come up with the cost-benefit analysis to show why this is the best route to take for the business. And more importantly, as the business analyst, you would manage the project. If you are engaging an external vendor, you'd manage the project to ensure that all the requirements needed for that particular self-service checkout is done based on the requirements of the company, based on your engagement with all the stakeholders. of what needs to be implemented. Finally, when this is completed, you've engaged an external vendor, they've come up with a self-service checkout that aligns to your own business needs. Employees within the organization needs to know how to use it. And that's where you organize training sessions for the staff within the store. You also need your customers to know that you now have self-service. So you come up with communication strategies to communicate this to your stakeholders, your customers, so they know exactly the changes you've made. And that's why a business analyst is a change agent. You are called a change agent because you ensure that organizations move from where they have a problem to a solution and ensuring that solution sticks within the organization. So by doing all of this as the business analyst, you would have helped the company increase their revenue through more sales. So people are no longer on the queue. You have some people going to the physical checkout cashiers, and you have other people going to the self-service checkout. So more people are shopping, more people are coming to your stores, and you're increasing revenue for the company. Customers are also happy because your process is now more efficient. And this is how you've improved the process of this particular organization. So how did you start? There was a problem. You looked at the problem, you did a whole lot of stakeholder engagement. You sat down with the different stakeholders to understand what's the current process, where are the gaps and where are the inefficiencies? How can we move to a more improved process? You carried out competitor analysis and industry research. What are our competitors doing? You identified that and you came up with other ideas on how to also replicate and do the same. Then you also engage in elicitation, requirements gathering. What do we need to ensure that the self-service checkout meets the requirements of the organization? You sat down with the technology team, sat down with the other stakeholders, and ensure that at the end of the day, you manage the project until the self-service checkout was delivered. And once that was delivered, what happened? You ensured everybody was trained and they knew how to use it so that the solution would stay within the business. For you to have the skills to do this as a business analyst, you must first of all learn data skills, the Excel, Power BI, and SQL. These are your data skills. You always start from that. The modern business analyst must understand how to use data. Then you learn how to map out processes, process mapping. How does this process start? How does it end? In between, what are the activities, the dependencies, and so on? You learn how to do that using tools like Lucidchart and using tools like Draw.io. Then you learn project initiation planning. Project initiation and planning. How do I plan a project? How do I initiate a project? Agile and Scrum for projects. Managing projects using the Agile methodology and the Scrum framework. Using tools like Jira to track project deliverables, Trello to manage your team members and ensure that you can track their task and deliverables. You'd learn the software development lifecycle, requirements fundamentals. How do you get the requirements that you need to ensure that self-service checkout is built and fit for purpose for the organization? What features should it have? What type of cards should it accept? How will customers understand how to use it? So you gather all these requirements and you also do this using elicitation. Elicitation is interviewing, asking the right questions to get the type of answers that you want. You're going to work with stakeholders as a business analyst. So you need to know how to analyze your stakeholders, communicate with your stakeholders, engage your stakeholders. All right. How do you rank your stakeholders based on their influence? On this particular project, who gives approval? Who is the person that can scuttle the process and all of that? You need to understand your stakeholders. Then you learn AI for business analysis using ChatGPT. The business analysis program is for 4 months, 2 months in class, 2 months internship. Your internship is where you get to build a web application where as a business analyst, you'd work with a software developer, you'd work with a UI UX designer and the agile project manager to take the HR department of a company that has a manual process whereby for people to go on leave, they have to send emails, but you would build a portal for them so things are done more automatically. Things are automated. Employees can log into the platform and they can simply apply for leave on the platform or update their bio data and so on and so forth. So you working on that type of project gives you the skills to do the job in real life. Okay. And that's what gives you the skills working on projects like that. When you go for an interview, you speak from the knowledge of experience, not from reading a book or practicing to write an exam. Your classes are on Saturdays, your live classes, and it doesn't matter where you are. If you're in the UK, your class would begin at 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. UK time. If you're somewhere in Nigeria, West Africa, it's 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. West Africa time. Therefore, those in Canada, those in the US, your classes will begin 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So if you're in the UK, for example, you can join the class 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. your time. Or if you're not available in the morning, you can join the class for those in the US and Canada, which would begin around 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. your time. So you have a flexible arrangement based on your schedule to join classes, easily flexible, looking at your own schedule at that point in time. All right. You have the same facilitators, the same trainer across the UK and also in Canada. On Sunday, your classes are self-paced. You don't have to join a live class on Sundays. You can watch your videos at your own convenience on the LMS. Okay. So that's for the business analyst. Now, for the data analyst and the data scientist, and the data engineer, what do? So let's take that same store. You walk in the store, you've implemented the self-service checkout, and you also have the cashiers where people walk to the cashier and then they get to make payment. But customers have been stealing items in the store. They steal items. And you want to know how many stolen items have we had in the year 2024 from Q1 to Q3? How many stolen items have we had in 2024? So you need to get data of all the transactions that have happened in the store. The data engineer is that professional who is responsible for going into the POS where you have the self-service, people at the cashiers, they have the POS where people get to make payments, okay? And then you have the self-service checkout. Let's call it the self-checkout. So these are the two major platforms where customers pay. You want to see the items they bought, and you want to analyze to see how many stolen items have we experienced in 2024. The data engineer is responsible for making that data available. So as a data engineer, you are the data provider. So let's call them the data what? Provider. So the data engineer would create pipelines. They build the infrastructure that enables data to flow across an organization. So all the POS transactions, a data pipeline will be built to extract data from that particular database. The self-service checkout platforms, a data pipeline will be built to extract data, and then you have a data warehouse. The data warehouse is where all the data would be stored for easy access. All the data would be stored in the data warehouse for easy access. So as a data engineer, you're like a plumber in a house. When the construction of a building, you build all the pipes within the house connected to a data source. So when the tap is opened in the kitchen, water would flow. When the tap is opened in the washroom, water would flow. That's the same thing you do as a data engineer in an organization. You connect pipelines to different data sources and ensure that data flows into a data warehouse, which is a central location where anybody can access that data from. Okay, it's only when the data is available that the data analyst and the data scientist can do their jobs. So let's say this is the data warehouse. The data engineer has built the pipelines, data flows into this data warehouse. The data analyst now wants to answer the question, how many fraudulent transactions have happened from Q1 to Q3? The data analyst would access this data warehouse, extract the data of all the transactions within the store, and then use a tool like Excel or Power BI to come up with a visual that looks like this. Sorry about that. Let me just draw that again. So you have the data warehouse, the data analyst, let's call them the DA. They extract the data and then comes up with something like this. So Q1, Q2, Q3. So what happened in Q1? How many stolen items? 500. In Q2, how many stolen items? 600. Q3, how many? 800. So every quarter, the number of stolen items have always been on the rise, increasing, which is a worry to anybody working in that store. So as a data analyst, you answer two questions in an organization. The first question you answer is, what happened? So identifying the number of stolen goods is you simply answering the question, what happened? So in Q1, we had 500 stolen goods, Q2, 600, Q3, 800. All right. But you must answer the second question for this company as a data analyst, which is what? Why did it happen? And in answering the question, why did it happen? You are diving deeper into the data, looking for trends and patterns and events that can explain why you've had increase in the number of stolen goods. So you're going to analyze more data. You're going to investigate as a data analyst. You'd sit down with the person, the store manager responsible for the store and so on and so forth. Why are we having increase in the number of stolen goods? And based on your analysis, you realize that all the stolen goods are coming from one specific aisle. Let's say aisle number 7. So aisle number 7 is where you're having stolen goods. And as you started investigating to answer the question, why did it happen? So most of the stolen goods are from aisle 7. And based on your analysis, you realize that aisle 7 has a different magnetic item that you have on the items on the products you buy, that when you go out of the store without paying, it makes a beep. Okay, so you realize that the magnetic tags on aisle 7 are faulty. So when people steal items and they walk out of the store, it doesn't make any beep. As a data analyst, you've identified that. So you recommend to the business that on aisle 7, we need to stop using these particular magnetic tags. We need to change the magnetic tags to something else. That's the role of the data analyst, answering two questions: what happened and why did it happen, using data that the data engineer has made available. All right. When you answer the question, what happened is what? Descriptive analytics. Descriptive. When you answer the question, why did it happen? It is called diagnostic. Pardon my handwriting. Diagnostic analytics. You are diagnosing, you are moving deeper to find out this thing that happened, the increase in number of stolen items, why are they happening? Using data as a basis for your analysis. Now, what does the data scientist do? And the person who asked the question, how is the data scientist different? The data scientist would answer question number 1, what happened? Answer question number 2, why did it happen? And answer the third question, question number 3. And question number 3 for the data scientist is what? What will happen? So you're looking into the future. What will happen? You are taking historical data of what has happened in the past, and you want to use that to predict what will happen in the future. And for you to predict the future, you need statistics. If you remember the role we looked at the other time, I told you to make a note. Statistics is very important as a data scientist. You need to know machine learning, statistical modeling, and so on and so forth. So the data scientist would predict what will happen in Q4. Q4 is not done. October, November, and December would represent Q4. So at the end of Q4, how many items are we projecting to be stolen? So the data scientist would take the data from what happened in the past, the new initiatives and recommendations we've put in place, and predict that you're likely going to have only 200 items stolen. And this is predicting and looking into the future. And for you to do this as a data scientist, you must understand statistics, forecasting techniques, machine learning, and so on and so forth. And answering the question, what will happen, is called what? Predictive analytics. Predictive, you are predicting. So if you're somebody who runs away from statistics, you don't want to learn how to code, you run away from Python, then the data science might not just be your way. If you're somebody who wants to do amazing work, answering questions of what happened, why it happened, using data as a foundation for answering those questions, data analytics is the fantastic path. Ikmat did data analytics. Toyin did data analytics. They're both on sponsored jobs. If your role is to ensure that data is available within the organization, then you want to look at data engineering. As a data analyst, you start from problem solving, you learn Excel, SQL, structured query language, to enable you interact with databases. When the data engineer makes data available, to get access to that data, you need to understand SQL. Then you learn Power BI, you learn Tableau for data visualization, for data analytics and business intelligence. Then you learn data storytelling, ChatGPT for analytics, and Microsoft Fabric. Microsoft Fabric is a new technology from Microsoft that enables you to collaborate in a single platform, building so many things in one single environment. So organizations are currently migrating to Microsoft Fabric. So you having this skill puts you at an advantage over others. The program is for 4 months, 3 months in class, 1 month internship. So just like the business analysis program, your live classes are on Saturdays. You don't have a live class on Sunday. All the other days, you can watch your videos on the platform. On Saturdays, where you work on a project. All right. You solve problems with an expert in class. You work on case study based projects and you build your skills. If you are in the UK, your classes would be 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. If you are in Canada, that'll be 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Mountain Time. So in the UK, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. your time. If you want to join the guys in Canada or the US, that'll be 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. So you can either join a class in the morning if the morning is fine. If you want to join in the evening, that's also fine. You can join the guys in the US during that program as well. As a data scientist, you start with statistics. You never start with Python. After statistics, you move to predictive analytics and forecasting using Excel. How do you use linear regression in Excel? Exponential smoothing for forecasting in Excel. Weighted average method for forecasting. Naive approach for forecasting. How do you do that on Excel? Then you learn Tableau. If you look at the role we saw on NatWest, you'd see that it came with Tableau, the sponsored job we saw. Then you'd also get to learn SQL, structured query language. Then you move into Python. So Python is number 5. It's not number 1. Learning Python, and this is a mistake a lot of people make, is like building a house, but you're building it from the roof. That house would collapse. Okay? So you start from the foundation. You start with statistics. You go to forecasting and predictive analytics using Excel. You learn Tableau. You learn SQL. Then you move to Python. You use Python for your exploratory data analysis. You use Python for your machine learning, computer vision, version control with GitHub. Then you learn AI for data science using ChatGPT and GitHub Copilot. And then you learn Microsoft Fabric as well. The learning timeline is for 4 months, 3 months in class, 1 month internship. Classes for the UK time zone, classes for the US and the Canada time zone. Your live classes are on Saturdays. Every other day, you can log onto the platform, watch your videos at your own pace. As a data engineer, your skills are a little bit more technical than both the data scientist and the data analyst. And that's why you earn significantly higher than the two. So when you use Python as a data engineer, those pipelines are going to build to move data from databases into a data warehouse. You do that using Python. All right. So you're using Python in a different way. You are using Python for programming as a data engineer. Python, like a software developer, would learn how to use Python. So you start with Introduction to Data Engineering, Structured Query Language, SQL, Python. Python and SQL would be your bread and butter. Every single day you get to use these two technologies, because SQL is what you'd use for your databases, your data warehouses. Python is what you'd use to build your ETL pipelines. You'd learn Linux for your bash scripting. You'd learn how to build ETL pipelines, getting data from databases, APIs, scraping data from the web. Then you'd learn Apache Spark and Airflow for your pipeline automation. How do you ensure that even when you are not there, the pipelines get data from where it should get data and move the data to where the data should be? All right. You don't need the plumber to be in your house to open up the tap before water flows. They don't need to be there. So as a data engineer, how do you automate your pipeline? So when you're not there, data keeps on flowing to where the data should be. You'd learn cloud engineering using GCP and Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud Platform and Microsoft Azure, version control with GitHub, and ChatGPT and GitHub Copilot for your AI for data engineering. The data engineering program is for 5 months, 3 months in class, 2 months internship. If you're in the UK, your class for the data engineering on Saturdays would be from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. If you're in Canada or the US, that will be from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Your live classes are only on Saturdays. Every other day, you log onto the platform to watch your sessions. Now, the last two programs we have, the financial analyst and the HR analyst. The financial analyst is a data analyst that analyzes financial data. Simple and short. So your role as a financial analyst is to take financial records that a company has and help them identify areas for cost optimization, advise the company on where to invest, how to allocate its capital based on the company's risk appetite, based on their strategic fit to projects, helping companies to also identify and measure its financial health, looking at different financial metrics, profitability metrics, return on equity, return on investments, helping them building financial models for new ventures. If the company wants to buy a new company or set up a new venture, what's the financial model? What's the best case scenario? What's the base case scenario? What's the worst case scenario? If there are changes in the environment, how do you analyze and identify the impact of a reduction on inflation rates? If inflation rate goes down, how does it impact the buying power of our customers? How does it impact our assumptions when we worked on the budget? Okay. If the Bank of England decides to reduce interest rates or increase interest rates, how does it impact the industry you play in? These are the type of analysis you'd be doing. So you'd learn your data skills from problem solving, Excel, Power BI to SQL. These are your data skills. Then you'd learn the financial analysis skills, accounting fundamentals, financial analysis, financial modeling, valuation, sensitivity and scenario analysis. AI for financial analytics using ChatGPT. And these are the financial aspects of the financial analyst career path. 4 months in class, 3 months learning, and 1 month internship. So the class, the structure is similar to the data analytics. And then you have the HR analyst, the last but not the least. The HR analysts are also data analysts, but they don't focus on all types of data. They focus on what? On people data. They focus on HR data, people data. As a HR analyst, you want to help the company identify what's the best recruitment pipeline. If we recruit from LinkedIn, from our website, from HR consultants, which pipeline, which talent sourcing pipeline gives us the best results in terms of employee performance? You want to help the company identify what is leading to attrition. Why are people leaving? How can we identify those factors and stop people from leaving before they leave by implementing policies and strategies that are data-driven? If we're going to tell employees to come back to the office, to work from the office instead of working remotely, how do we measure productivity and tie productivity to where they work? People that work remotely, people that work from home, how do you tie productivity to that? To come up with a data-driven solution that for us to increase productivity, people need to work from home. Or for us to increase productivity, we need to bring people back to the office. So you learn your data skills for you to analyze people data, problem solving, Excel, Power BI, and SQL. Then you learn the HR specific areas, HR analytics and performance evaluation, HR metrics and life cycle, HR analysis and dashboarding, report automation, building your case and creating action, and AI for HR analytics using ChatGPT. The timeline is also the same, just like the data analytics, the financial analytics, the business analysis, and so on and so forth. And these are the data-related roles you want to consider. Rita joined our data science program, data analytics program, I beg your pardon. And Rita, like I said, she got this job without sponsorship. But when the Home Office in April started to make changes to the different immigration pathways and so on, because Rita has been performing very well, she reached out to her manager to demand and request for sponsorship. So this was Rita sending us this message. I spoke to my manager about the visa when the rules changed, but HR pushed back and forth. So it wasn't a straightforward, easy peasy, sponsorship. HR pushed back and forth until eventually she's saying that they gave me my COS on Thursday. I applied for the visa on Saturday using the priority service, and today I got the decision. So that's the decision at the top, where she's been granted her permission to stay in the UK as a skilled worker and so on and so forth. And Rita is saying that, thank you so much. I'm grateful to Tenalytics because the program taught me SQL, which enabled me get this fixed contract job. That's Rita's story, and so many other people who have done the same thing. So understanding the strategy to take, knowing how to apply different strategies, different options, knowing the career path to follow is very important. And this brings us to the end of our session, where I introduce you to the upcoming cohorts we have. The last cohort for the year 2024 would be in December, on the 7th of December. So for anybody wanting to start their journey, get into any of these career paths, you can get in on the 7th of December this year. That's the next cohort available. And we have another cohort on the 4th of January, 2025. So if you have commitments in December, for example, you can join the cohorts that would start in January, on the 4th of January. What does it take to be a part of any of the Tenalytics program? I'll share that with you shortly. Okay, I'll share that with you shortly. And this is where I have an amazing discount for everybody available and that have stayed up until this moment. We launched an early bird discount during the week. Okay, and the early bird discount is for the first 10 people to get into any of the career path. So you want to get into the data analytics career path, for example, the data science career path, the HR analytics career path, data engineering. Instead of paying $750, you get to pay just $600. 20% off, that's the discount that you get. So instead of paying $750, you get to pay just $600. And for those in the UK, I'll show you what that equivalent would look like in pounds, and for those who want to pay in naira, and so on and so forth. So this is an amazing discount we have for anybody who wants to get started. And this covers everything about the program, from your technical training to your employability training, your CV sessions, your LinkedIn sessions, and so on and so forth. So let's see, and I'm going to show you how, for those who would love to make payments, how do you get started? Once you click on this link, it takes you to the enrollment center. So I'm just going to use this browser. So it takes you to the enrollment center, and the enrollment center is where you get to select the program you want to join. Okay, so you have the opportunity you want to chat with us. You can click on this link, opens up on WhatsApp. You can access all the program brochures by clicking on this link. You'd see the discounts that you have available. So let's say you want to join the business analysis program, for example. You want to help, you see yourself as somebody who wants to help organizations streamline, optimize their processes, help them increase revenue, reduce losses by becoming more efficient. You click on register for BA, and it takes you to the business analysis career path. While we were speaking, about 3 people have registered already, and we have just 7 seats available. Okay, so 10 seats were made open. We have just 7 available for the discounted slots for business analysis. So this is the amount in pounds. If you're paying in pounds, for example, you can either make a one-time payment of £522, 2 monthly payments of £261, or 3 monthly payments of £174. Okay, so let's take, for example, I want to make 3 monthly payments to be in the program. I want to start in December, or I want to start in January. It really doesn't matter. I click on the 3 monthly payments and click on proceed to pay. And I would see when I would make my first payment today, my second payment next month, and my final payment on the 16th of January. So this gives you access to every single thing we've discussed today. And for those who would love to pay in US dollars, you can simply convert this. You click on the currency icon at the top, select the United States dollar, and you'd see $600 one-time payment, $300 2 monthly payments, or you can pay $200 for 3 monthly installments. Same thing, you click on this, proceeds to pay. So once you click on proceeds to pay, I'll show you what happens afterwards. So I click on the 3 monthly payments, proceeds to pay, click on proceed. It takes me to where I get to enter my full name. All right, I enter my full name, I enter my email address, and then I go ahead to pay for product. The moment you pay for the product, what happens? It takes you to we get an automated receipt where you have the opportunity to fill and complete your registration. All right. When completing the registration, if you want to start in the month of December, you'll get to see where to click that. And I'll show you what that looks like, what the form would look like. So once you've completed payment, you get an automated receipt, and you also get the link to this form. So you fill the form. I'm just going to click on next, and show you what to select. So click on next, select all the payments, initial payment, click on next. You have access to the discount, click on next, enter your name, your last name, registration, your gender, click on next, read the terms and conditions. You can reach out to us via email, and all the numbers, the phone numbers, and talk to Shay, talk to Lydia, talk to Glory, or you can have a conversation with us on WhatsApp. Click on next. When did you make payments? You select the dates, upload the screenshots, the mode of payment, click on next, next. And this is a very important point. I'm going to pause and talk about this for a bit. So while filling this form, if you get to this stage, for some of you, you are pretty sure of what you want to do from the explanation I've given. You want to become a data analyst. All you need to do is click on this and select data analytics. For some of you, you're not sure, but you know you want to start your journey. You are currently in a master's program. You want to start applying to jobs. You don't want to wait until you are done and you get stranded before you apply. There's a lady that came to me last month and she said her postgraduate study visa would be expiring in December next month. And she wants to get a job before December. I had to turn her away because you can't come to us in October and you want to get a job in December. That's desperation. And that lady is likely going to move back to Nigeria, except she does something pretty drastic that will keep her back in the UK. So you don't want to wait until it's already too late. All right. So if you don't know the program you want to register for, but you know you want to start your journey in one of the programs, select I need to speak with a professional. Once you select this option, would schedule you for a clarity session. So the clarity session is where you join a session with other people that have selected I need to speak with a professional, and we guide you. Okay, you are currently doing your master's in project management. You've worked as an operations manager back in Nigeria. These are the skills that I think are transferable, and this is the area I would suggest you consider. You make the final decision, but we guide you. When you select, I need to speak with a professional. But if you're pretty sure of what you want to do, select the program, click on next. And this is where you also have the opportunity to select when you want to start. Do I want to start on the 7th of December? Do I want to start on the 4th of January? Or do I want to start on the 8th of February? Okay, so you have that opportunity, securing the discount today, and you know that you don't have to pay anything more, even if the prices increases, in 2025. All right, so say you want to start in January, for example, you select January, fill all the other details. What's your country of residence? United Kingdom, United States, Nigeria. Select that. How did you hear about us? Fill this, and then you submit, and we get the details and organize for you to get into the respective cohorts. All right. So that's how you get into the program. So I think people are making payments already. Let's see for data analytics. If I click on register for data analytics, we have 6 slots available for data analytics. All right. So the same way, the same process, you can go ahead. And we're going to take questions before we wrap up today. Say you want to join the full stack data science program, register for the full stack data science. Data science, we have 10 seats available. So nobody has registered for data science yet. So you want to do for the data science program, go for the data science program, just like you have somebody like, what's her name? Ebube. Ebube also works with the NHS. I'll share her story with you before we leave. Completed the data science program. She's also with the NHS as a data scientist, full visa sponsorship as well. All right. So remember, the discount is only for the first 10 people. So once all the discount slots are gone, we revert back to the old price of $750 for anybody who wants to get into any of the programs. I'm going to take questions from the chat. So if you have questions, please feel free. Ask your questions, post it into the chat, and I'll take your questions. Theophilus is asking, can you elaborate on cybersecurity? So today's session is on data roles, data-related roles. And that's why I didn't bring up cybersecurity, Theophilus. The duration is 4 months. The cost is also the same, $750, but we have a discount for $600 for the first 10 people to join that program. Okay. Let me see. Okay, if I may ask, do we get a certificate? Do we get a job for those in the US? Absolutely. There are people in the US. Let me try to bring some of them out and show you those in the US that are in the US and working from the US. some in Nigeria, working for companies in the US, and I'll share that with you. There are so many testimonials. Okay, so you'd see the appendix. You have tons and tons of testimonials right there. So once you get the slide, you have access to professionals. For example, Ololade was able to secure her PR moving from Nigeria to Canada. We worked with her to, her references and so on for her to get her PR. We worked with her, and this is her saying, this is Ololade. Dear sir, she sent me this email. I would like to appreciate the help with the referral for my Canada PR application. It is with great joy that I would like to inform you that my application was successful. I'm now a PR holder. So Ololade is in Calgary in Canada right now. Bukola was in Poland. She's in Poland when she joined us. She joined our data science program. She got a job with QVC as a people data scientist in Poland. All right. You have Bukola. Bukola is in Canada. I'm just trying to look for, this is Ebube. I mentioned Ebube the other time. Ebube works as a data scientist with the NHS, full visa sponsorship after completing our training program. Okay. You have Ini, you have Efe, you have Nathaniel, who is in Spain. You have Kende, who also works with the NHS Trust in Southampton as a data analyst, and so on. All right. You have Bernard, who is in Canada, doing amazing stuff. And so you have numerous testimonials available for you right here. Mojishola got a job as a business analyst. Olamide got a job as a business analyst. You have so many professionals and how they've been able to transition into different roles. This gentleman, Idris, works as a data engineer in the UK as well. All right. So these are professionals doing amazing stuff. This is Ubong, who works with Cognizant in the UK, full visa sponsorship after completing both the data analytics and the data science program. All right. I was going to show you somebody. I don't know if I have them on this slide, but I'll see very quickly if I do. And I'll just highlight that very quickly for the gentleman who asked for somebody in the US. I don't know if I have it here, but I think I should. And I'll walk you through that as I take more questions in the chat. So I'm coming back to the chat to take more questions. So this is Ben M. Okay, so Ben M is in the US. She got a job as a HR analyst after completing the HR analytics program. All right, she joined us in January. She completed the program in April, and she landed her job in August this year, a few months ago. She's in the US, got a job as a HR analyst. And this is Ben M saying, I have followed up with them. Awesome, all the best. Okay, we're telling her all the best. And she sent a message, hi, Mary, an update, I got the job. Thank you so much, and Tenalytics too. I'm very happy that I took the opportunity. I'll be starting on the 19th of August. Yeah, so that's Benham in the US for the person who asked the question. There are Naira options, Ruth. Okay, so let me show you how to get to the Naira option, Ruth. Okay, so if you go to the enrollment center, Ruth, click on any of the links. And if you are not in Nigeria, you're not going to see the Naira option. Okay, if you're not in Nigeria, you're not likely going to see the Naira option. So it would show you based on your location. All right, so let me see if I can get NGN. Now you're not going to get the NGN option if you're not in Nigeria. So Ruth, please confirm if you're in Nigeria and you want to see the Naira option. If you're not in Nigeria, you might not likely see the Naira option. One thing you can also do, Ruth, easily is send us an email, okay, to finance. Send an email to finance@Tenalytics. Finance@Tenalytics.org. Finance@Tenalytics.org. Just send an email and somebody would guide you on how to. All right, I'm going to make a note of your name, Ruth Aniche. So if you fill the attendance form, then we can get across to you. Okay. Yeah. So, but if you send an email to finance, somebody would work with you to address that. Somebody is saying that for data engineering live class, 4 p.m. will clash with my shift. Can I access the recording? Absolutely. So all the sessions, like I mentioned, you have both the LMS, where if you're in data engineering at any point in time, you can come to the LMS, you can access your data engineering program. Okay, data engineering, click on continue learning, and you have access to all your sessions from week 0 all the way to week 13. So you watching all the videos here equips you with the skills that you need to become a data engineer. Then you have the live classes. So let's go to the live classes. Let's go to a data engineering live class very quickly. Let me see. Let me look for a data engineering class and just show you. So if you're in data engineering, so let's go to this cohort, for example. So if you're in data engineering, for every single class you have, every live class, all your live classes are recorded. So you always go back for reference, like your mentorship, for example. If you ever miss the mentorship session, you can come back. The interview simulation session we had last week, Thursday, using AI for job applications, the week before. We had a Q&A session that was centered only on questions and answers. We had another interview simulation dealing with imposter syndrome. We had a recruitment series session. We had a session on how to use the SEAT and the STAR approach when answering interview-based questions. And you have access to all of this. So if you go to your classes, week 14, they had a cloud engineering class. Week 13, they had a cloud engineering class, end-to-end data engineering project. So let's say you missed this class, for example. All you have to do, come to the class material, access the PDF documents, which are the case studies that you would get to solve on in that particular session. So here you're going to use Apache Airflow for this particular task. All right. So how do you then watch your recordings? You'd see the class recording right here. Click on class recording, click on the recording, and you have access to everything that happened in class on that particular day. All the questions people asked, what was done, you can go ahead and do the same. Okay, you are in a WhatsApp group. If you have questions, you have somebody to ask questions. You drop your questions in the chat, somebody responds to you. Now, we have something we call the makeup class. For the gentleman who asked the question, what if I miss a class on Saturday? What happens? The drop-in session is designed like a makeup class. It happens every Wednesdays in the evening from 9 to 10, every Wednesdays. So you missed a class on Saturday, you've watched the recordings, you've practiced on your own, but you just need somebody, you need your trainer to bring you up to speed. Then you get to join the drop-in session. So the drop-in session happens every single week. From the week you join till the week you complete your program, you have a drop-in session. So the drop-in session is also recorded in case you miss it again. So you can come back, watch the drop-in session, watch what happened during that session, and that gives you clarity to how you need to prepare. If you have any problem, you're getting an error, you can join in. Somebody, a real human being, would work with you to solve that problem for you. So you don't take the problem to the next class, right? So that's what the drop-in session is meant for. So you really have no excuse or you have no problem when you join a program like this because you have all the support that you need. Tokwa is asking, let me take Ruth's question. I think Ruth's hand is up. Ruth's, I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself. If you have a question, please feel free. Ask your question, and then I'll move on to more questions from the chat before we call it a day. So if you have a question, Ruth, please feel free, ask your question. But I believe you asked your question in the...
Thank you.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you. This question has been very pressing. Okay,
Yep.
I've been asking if I could do
Yes.
more than one program. Initially, I joined analytics. That was early last year, but I couldn't proceed because I lost two of my family members, my brother and my dad.
Oh, so
Just
sorry
simple.
about that.
Mentally, I was destabilized, so I pulled out last year. I just couldn't even push through. Now,
Oh, so sorry.
yeah, thank you. And I actually also did business analysis. That was 2018. One Amount career in UK, but I never actually used it for anything. Both
Okay.
the internship and all that, I never utilized any of that. So I was asking, because I
Yeah.
noticed over the years, I noticed my areas of interest. That was
Okay.
why I was like, okay, can I merge data engineering and business analysis? Being the fact that I already have ideas on Agile Scrum, little bit of the whole stuff, done a little bit
Okay.
of project management and everything. But
Yeah.
because I really want to fully transit into tech, and I've
Yeah.
already checked my area of strengths and the areas I've learned within this
Yeah.
few periods of time, I felt okay,
Yeah.
let me just focus on the data engineering. But
Okay.
I still want to also merge business analysis. So that was why I kept asking, can I pay for both if I want to
Okay.
take advantage of the discounts?
Yeah.
Any further discount for someone who is paying for both? Now,
Yeah.
currently, unfortunately, a whole lot of stuff happened last year. A whole lot of unforeseen events.
Yeah.
After the loss of my dad and the burial, I also lost my job. So I felt okay. This is
Oh
the
no.
best time to like bounce back and start afresh,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
um I feel okay. Before I start looking for another job, it's best for me to just utilize this time. So that was why I was asking, can I merge both
You
the
too.
data
Yeah.
engineering and the business analysis? Will
Yeah.
I get any further discounts? Because financially, I'm incapacitated. But if I don't take advantage of this, because
Yeah.
amazingly, I wrote it down, I'm going to go back to analysis just 2 weeks before I logged into this program. So I went
Wow.
back to the WhatsApp group. I didn't see any program, so I had to join those on the diaspora. Now that
Okay.
I got this email, yeah,
All
because I
right.
wanted to get back on track. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think it's the right time, like you said. I'm so sorry about everything that happened last year. It's good
Yeah.
to hear you, in good spirits and looking to bounce back. That's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Can you do
Thanks.
two at the same time? You can register for
Yeah.
two,
Yeah.
but you can't
Yeah.
do the two at the same time. Okay. Now, the reason why I
Okay.
don't advise for you to do two at once is because each program itself is very immersive. Okay. It's
I know.
intensive as well. So you would have instances where you have presentations, you have group exercises, you have a project you need to complete. If you have another competing program taking your attention, it might be a bit too much for you. All right.
Okay.
So, what I can advise you to do, Ruth, is
Okay.
you can register for one and join the other one
Okay.
once you are done with the first one. Okay.
Okay. But
So,
what
for a
happens to the discount?
yeah, you
Yeah.
have a discount, obviously. So any Tenalytics alumnus that comes, any Tenalytics alumni that comes back to us, you get access to additional 5%. So just like we have a 20% discount right now, you get 25% instead of 20%. So that's always
Okay.
going to happen every time. So what we'll do for you, Ruth, is whatever
Okay.
discount we have running at the moment, you will also have
Okay.
access to that discount in the future, in addition to
Okay.
5%. Okay.
Okay.
But I won't advise you to do two at
So,
once.
so is it that I start up my data engineering now, and before I
Yes.
could, at least towards the tail end of rounding up, I could just start up
Yes.
the business analysis immediately.
Absolutely. That would be the
Okay.
perfect
And while
situation
I'm
for
in
you.
the process, I can also be on my job hunts. I don't have to wait until I finish the
Absolutely.
program before I start looking for jobs again. Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you start your CV review sessions a month and a half into the program. So
Okay.
your LinkedIn optimization as well. So you don't wait until the end before you do that. So your job hunting starts at least a month into the program. And that's why you'd see some people on our testimonial, they'll tell you that, oh, I got my job a month into the program. And there's a very similar story I always like to give. This lady joined HR Analytics. She joined us in July.
Okay.
And by August, she got a job in Canada with the government of Saskatchewan, helping them as a program evaluation analyst. So she analyzes the programs that the government deploys for people living with disability. So a month into your program, you are pretty much done with Excel. And the role for program evaluation analyst required the use of Excel and Qualtrics. So Qualtrics is more like your SurveyMonkey for surveys. So she would have to deploy surveys, get the data from the survey, and use Excel to analyze. So she was worried that, oh, Adeze, I'm just a month into the program. Can I go ahead and apply? And of course, we said apply. We prepared her for the interviews. She got the job. And even while on the job, we worked with her as well to ensure that she got a solid footing on that role eventually. Okay. So with the use of
So, but
Excel,
what
she was able
happens
to
to
land.
someone who,
Yeah.
okay, because I started from the beginning of the webinar till right now.
Yes.
I
Yes.
listened to all the testimonials of those who had no tech background. Now,
Yes.
like you said, a month into the program, she applied. I'm
Yes.
basically an architect. I'm an architect. I've been an architect
Okay.
for more than a decade. So how do I, because each time I look at my LinkedIn profile, I deliberately didn't touch it
Yes.
for years because
Yeah.
I know I don't want to do that part anymore. I could just do it
Yeah.
for fun as a lifestyle, but that's not where I want to be anymore. Yeah. I've been
Absolutely.
getting emails from Van Hack for over 5 years. And every now and then they'll be like, are you no longer interested in tech? I just kept quiet because I know I've not prepared myself. So what am I going to be
Yeah.
saying? A couple of
Yeah.
opportunities pop up on my mail from Van Hack, and I'm like, I'm not
Yeah.
ready. Yeah, that's Van Hack in Canada. You know them, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but
Absolutely.
but what happens to my resume if I'm
Yep.
just applying for a job a month prior to entry? When everything I've had in my resume for almost 15 years is architecture, project management, engineering. So how do I tweak it to suit
Brilliant.
this? If it's
Fantastic.
just a
Very
month
good
to that time.
question. Very good question. So that's where tailoring your CV comes in. Okay. You're not getting the job as an architect. You want to get the job as a business analyst or data engineer. So what we do in the
Okay.
CV review sessions, which I can't go into all the explanation because of time, is it doesn't matter what you've done before. All right.
Okay.
You Tenalytics would always be your first experience. So on your CV,
Okay.
Tenalytics is there. I work with Tenalytics as a data engineer on contract or as a consultant, as the case might be. And then we tailor your previous experience to have a flavor of data engineering within it. So you're not representing yourself or positioning yourself as a beginner, but you're positioning yourself as somebody who has been on that role and is even currently on the role before you apply to the job. Okay, so that's something that you do during your CV review sessions, where when you get to tailoring your CV for the job you want to apply to. All right.
So that's
So
the final question.
yes,
Like I was the one who was lamenting of be struggling to
to make
pay.
payments. Yes.
Yes, because there's no money in my DOM account, so trying to use
Yeah.
my credit account, my Naira account, I didn't see any
Yes.
option. So do I have to send an email right now to the finance, or
Yes.
do I reach after the program? Would they be aware I'm the one? I've already filled the form for the
Yes.
attendees actually,
I've taken down
but
your name. I've taken down your
okay,
name,
okay.
Ruth.
So
So
I don't need to
uh
panic. So you're saying all I have to do is just focus on the data engineering first, since that's what I want to do first. Make the payment. I want to make 3 installmental payment. Yeah, like I said,
okay.
so I don't crash financially. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
That's totally fine.
I could just do the payment for the data engineering prior to the time I'm going to round up. I could quickly just start the business analysis, right, and make payments.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. You
Awesome.
can do that. So just send an email to finance@tenalytics.org and somebody would respond to you and tell you what to do. Ideally, you should see the Naira option. I don't know why you're not seeing it, but send an email.
I don't know
Somebody would work
what
with you to help you out. All right.
I should just explain to them I'm trying to make payment in Naira, but I'm not seeing the options. What do I do?
Exactly. Exactly. And they would walk you through what to do.
Thank Thank you
It's
so
a
much.
pleasure. Thanks for asking the questions, Ruth. Really
Yeah.
good having you here. And I look forward to you getting back on that horse, riding through the journey, and eventually getting a job at the end of the day. All right. So we're going to draw the curtains right here. So, like I advised earlier, I know you'd have a lot of questions. I'm going to try to pick as many. We'll wrap up in 5 minutes. But apart from those who might be paying in Naira, where you might have to send an email. If you're paying in pounds, all you have to do, if you go to the platform, the enrollment center, if you click on any of the programs, it takes you to where you'd see where to make payments. So here you have £522, all right, which is the one-time payment, or you can make a 3-monthly payment of £174. So the amount you see here are the discounted fees, and you have just 6 seats available for business analysis. So once it gets to 0, it goes back to the original amount of $750 or £625, okay, as the original amount. So that's where you get to see the different options. If you're in Canada, you get to see the Canadian dollar option, or you can, I think if you select that from here as well, you can see Canadian dollars, and it shows you the breakdown based on Canadian dollars, depending on how you want to pay. All right. So for those who would secure their discounts, if you are not sure, you have questions, detailed questions, like Ruth has questions, all you need to do is, once you've secured your first installment, okay, if you're paying in pounds, for example, once you secure the first installment, you've made your payment, ensure that while filling the form, you select the option, I need to speak with a professional. So you get this form into your email. So while filling the form, select the option, I need to speak with a professional. Okay. Once you select that option, we schedule you for a session where we help and guide you on selecting the right career path eventually. Time is fast spent. We can't take any more questions. I'd love to see all of you join the program. For those who have questions, I'd love to see you in the clarity sessions. We're going to have clarity sessions all through the month. Okay. What of remote work? Absolutely. You can work remotely. We have numerous participants working from Nigeria, companies in the US, working from Nigeria, working for companies in the UK as well. There is no age limitation, Tokwe. Nobody's going to ask you how old you are. What they want from you is your competence, how good you are, the skills and the experience you bring to the role. Asking for your age is discrimination. Nobody asks for that. All right. Will you get a certificate? Absolutely. So what I want every one of you to do is go on LinkedIn. Very important. Go on LinkedIn, search for Tenalytics and follow Tenalytics. All right. Search for Tenalytics, follow Tenalytics. If you click on certificates, let me just show you what the certificates would look like once you're done. So this is Archibong. Archibong joined. He's also in the UK as well. And Archibong is sharing his certificates after he completed his program last month. I am thrilled to share my certificate of completion as a master data scientist with you. It was indeed a great learning experience with lots of hands-on projects. I would like to appreciate my instructors in the person of that. My special appreciation goes to Adeza and Efemena, the founder and co-founder of Tenalytics. So that's Archibong's certificate right there. Okay, so you do get a certificate from us, and you get all the things you also need to land the job. This is a data engineering certificate from Boza. Boza joined the data engineering program. And yeah, so follow us on LinkedIn, follow us on YouTube as well. So YouTube is where you get access to numerous materials. All the testimonials I shared with you are on YouTube. So if you go to YouTube, search for Tenalytics, go to the Tenalytics page, you have access to all the videos, all the sessions we've held over the last 4 years. All right. If you click on playlist and you go to testimonials, then you get to see fantastic professionals like Abisola, who is in the UK, who got a job 1 month into her training. So this is an example of people that explain that get jobs, in very few weeks into the training, 1 month, 2 months. This is Abisola. She currently works as a machine learning engineer in the UK. You have somebody like Oluwafikayo right here. And I think
with Monday.
I'm going to
every business.
I'm going to end our session with Oluwafikayo's video, and we call it a day. So follow us on YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel. You get access to the recording from today's session. It's going to be uploaded on YouTube. Yeah, also follow us on Instagram. We also post a whole lot of new happenings. We have a hackathon, a competition where there's money. You have money to be won, and ensure that you also get to participate in that as well. So you get to get updates on all the things we are doing within the space. I'm going to play Oluwafikayo's video, and then we'll wrap up for today. So for those of you that have secured your discount, fantastic. We look forward to working with you on the 7th of December, 4th of January, or 8th of February, depending on the program you've registered for. For those of you who have questions on clarity and so on, and you've secured your discounts, just ensure that you select the option, I want to speak with a professional. For those of you who are in Nigeria and want to make payments like Ruth, just send an email to finance@Tenalytics. So if you go to our page, if you go to our website, Tenalytics, www.tenalytics.io, if you go to About Us, Contact Us, you have access to also reach out to us, but preferably, so you can reach out to any of our colleagues on these numbers, or you can send an email to inquiries@tenalytics.io. But for payments, send an email to finance@tenalytics.io, and somebody would respond to you. So let's listen to Oluwafikayo and end the session here today. Okay, I don't think I have any more questions. Okay, so let's listen to Oluwafikayo.
I'm so happy I got the job. I got the job 1 month to the end of my program. Good afternoon. My name is Oyefikayo Adesina. I got to know about Tenalytics through one of their Instagram adverts at that point where I just needed a direction. I would say that is still one of the best decisions I've ever made in my career. Ever since I joined them, the classes, resources, instructors, they are great people. They are always there to support you. You have the Watch Me Do It videos where you can go at your learning pace, and you have the Saturday classes. You have assignments, you have team project where you learn, you work with different people on your team. Joining Tenalytics has helped me a lot because my background is finance. I'm new to tech. I've never known coding in my life, but now I can tell you I have a very good grasp of what is going on. They have the live sessions, they have the weekly, they have Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday programs where you can join CV review sessions, where you can review your CV. You have your interview review sessions. This kind of support they give to you will be surprised. When I booked my interview session, they were really on my case. Like, they just gave me that support, they gave me that confidence I needed for the interview. And I'm so happy I got the job. I got the job 1 month to the end of my program, and even after getting it, getting a reference letter, like all the support you need to succeed, they will hold you by the hand till you are where you need to be.
Hi.
Okay, so that's Oyefikayo, who got a job after joining our data science program. We're going to call it a day at this point. It's been a long day spent, and I've had an amazing time. If you got value for your time today, type in a yes into the chat so I know you got value for your time with us today. Fantastic. Daniel says yes. Ruth says yes. I look forward. That's absolutely amazing. We always love to give value, especially for sessions like this. And it's always great having a conversation with everybody. So have an amazing weekend. Enjoy the weekend. And I look forward to you joining the program. Get your journey started. All right. Take care, everybody. Until I see you some other time. Cheers, everyone.